Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. What a beautiful Friday morning it is, isn't it? Hi, I'm Dennis Antoine, your 2015 Atlanta Board of Realtors President, and I want to welcome you to your association. Look at this turnout. This is class number 6 of our series of free CE. This is the last class we have of the year for free CE. And I want to thank each and every one of you for taking advantage of coming out here and using your membership for free classes. Now, our goal is to promote private property rights and to look out for our members and do what's best for you guys. So if you guys have any suggestions at any time, please don't hesitate to contact us, call, email, text, Facebook, Instagram. You can do it for the vine. Doesn't matter. Now, in your seats, there's a yellow sheet that highlights all the upcoming classes. But I want to point out a few to you that's very, very important. You have TRS 122, Building a Team to Grow Your Business. That will be held here, October the 28th. We also have the TRS 201 class, Listing Strategy for Residential Specialists, on October 29th and 30th. Now here's a great secret that most people do not take advantage of. If you pay for this class, you can apply for a scholarship through GHR and get reimbursed. So think about this. You take a class, you pay for it, and then you get reimbursed through the scholarship program. This is your benefit. And CRS class has not been offered here for over a year. Is that right?
4 years almost.
4 years. Take advantage of that. Reimbursement. Also, we're going to have a new class being taught by Maura.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even out yet. We're the test pilot program, and it's called Generating Buyers and Seller Leads, Capturing Quality, Converting, and this is our instructor on November the 4th. No one else has had this class yet. We are the test pilot. November the 4th. Come out. She is dynamic. She's wonderful. She has lots of experience. Take advantage of that. We can critique it before the rest of the realtor population see it. November the 4th, here at the Atlanta Board of Realtors. Now, this is a CE class, which means everyone has to be in their seat the entire time. You cannot leave, or you will not get CE credit. And before you leave, you have to fill out the blue form, top and bottom, turn it in along with the evaluation, so you can get credit for 3 hours of CE. Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. You go to the ladies.
There's going to be a break.
There's a break. You go to the ladies when you come back.
Hold it.
You can't get on your telephone and make phone calls. All righty? CE class. Now I'm going to bring up my friend, Gina, from Georgia Natural, and she has been the sponsor for all 6 free CE class. Let's give her a hand.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. My name is Gina Niederhauser. I am with Georgia Natural Gas, and we are very happy and honored to be a sponsor of the ABR's CE classes as the education sponsor. I want to talk to you a little bit this morning about why we are connected with the Atlanta Board of Realtors. Georgia Natural Gas is a realtor program. It's called the Real Estate Advantage Program. And it is a referral program designed to benefit you as well as your new home buyers. Last year alone, we paid out over $75,000 in referral rewards to realtors, in the Metro Atlanta area. I'm not going to go into full detail about it, but on the inside cover of the notebooks you have that you got when you walked in are the details about how to register, how to refer your clients, and what to give them, as well as how to enter them in our database so that we can pay you for a referral. In addition to that, we also have a Quick Connect program through the same website that allows you to turn on and manage short-term gas service on vacant properties. So as winter is coming, if you need winterized property, if you need to turn on an empty vacant property for inspection purposes, you can do that. You can turn it on for 1 day, for 1 month, and you can do it all online. You don't have to get on the phone and talk to customer service. You just simply submit the order online, gas is turned on, you submit a turn-off date, and turn it back off. So one thing I do want to point out, the customer offer right now, until the end of the year, if you're working with clients, new home buyers, your clients can get a $100 Visa gift card or up to a 20-cent discount per therm on their gas service between now and the end of the year. That's not the normal offer, but they can only get that through their realtor, and you can get this today. As you're walking out the door, we have these brochures on the table outside. You can also get it if you register for the program. You can download this right online. Thank you, and have a great weekend.
Okay, so I am really excited to introduce Koki to you. Koki is a good friend of mine. We've known each other for at least 4 years now, I think. But his resume, the person you're about to learn from today, his resume is extremely impressive. I'm just going to give you a couple highlights because you might have read it when you signed up for the class. He grew up in the DC area, which is where he is currently a realtor. In 2008, he was recognized by Realtor Magazine as one of the top 30 under 30 realtors in the country. In 2009, he appeared on CNN's The Situation Room and on NPR, and in 2010, he was on House Hunters on HGTV. He also has appeared in the Washington Post, the Washingtonian, the Gazette, and Real Estate Radio. He's on the board of directors of his board, the Greater Capital Area Association of Realtors, and is co-chair for the NAR Meetings and Conference Committee. He is extremely involved in his community. Volunteerism is a big part of his business. He's going to show you a really awesome introduction video that's going to do a better job than I will. And really quickly, before we pass it over to Koki, that class that Ennis talked to you about, generating buyer and seller leads, that's on November 4th. This is a new NAR class. It's an elective for ABR. It's also probably going to be an elective for CRS. I've co-written it with NAR, so you really are the very, very, very first people. We're still editing the draft right now. So make sure when that email comes out, you sign up, because it's not going to be in this room. It's going to be in the back classroom, so we're going to have limited seating. So as many people as we can pack in the room, you're going to get it at a discount, you're going to get the CE for it, and you're going to get it as an elective for your ABR and possibly other designations. So I hope to see you there, but more importantly, we're going to pass it over to Koki, and he's going to blow your minds for the next 3 hours.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys hear me all right? Yeah. How's everybody doing today? Thank you all for having me here. Maura, thank you for the great introduction. I'm really excited to be here and present to you all today about how to take your business from creating leads to getting listings that you guys can sell. And so today I have a few pretty cool videos I'm going to show you, and some are mine, some are from other agents across the country that I think are pretty impactful videos that can help your business. And most importantly, I'm here to share with you all, but I also want you all to share with me and with other members as well. I have 9 years of experience in the business, and some of you have much more than that. Some of you have less, but we all have different experiences. And so as we go through the different slides and talk about different topics, I want you all to share as well. And I'll ask you guys questions. We're going to do some breakouts as well, so you guys can get together as small groups and come up with different ideas that are not presented here today, because we all have so much to share, and I want this to be a great class for everybody to learn a lot from. All right, so to start, I'll show you a quick video to give you a little insight into myself and what kind of drives me, what's really important to me in my life, and then we're going to jump into the presentation. Sound good?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Koki Adasi, and I'm a lifelong resident of the DC metro area. For the last few decades, I've watched the real estate market develop in front of my eyes, seeing planned unit developments like King Farm, Lakeland Independence take place, and also big condo buildings in DC like City Center and City Vista. I went to high school in Rockville at Magruder, who's known for their basketball prowess. I later then went to Mount St. Mary's University and began to play for the legendary Jim Phelan before he retired my junior year. Basketball is still a huge part of my life. You can find me in local rec leagues or at the Wizards game watching John Wall get busy on the court. Real estate has been the perfect career choice for me. It allows me an opportunity to help people with one of the biggest decisions in their lives. What I enjoy most is that a lot of my clients become friends. I'm the team leader for Koki & Associates Incorporated. We have a young, vibrant, professional team that provides fantastic service here in the DC metro area. I'm very proud to say we have 2 members on our team who are recognized in the Realtor magazine 30 under 30 list. One of the things that really motivates me to be the best person that I can be, my family, my wonderful wife Jess, and my wonderful son Akil. People always ask me where my name comes from, and on the phone they think I'm either Ghanaian or Japanese, but Koki is actually a nickname that I got when I was a baby. My parents watched wrestling. The wrestler named Coco Beware. So called me Coco. My mom called me Koki on accident. It stuck ever since. That's how I got my name. I have to give a lot of thanks to my parents who taught me a lot about hard work, discipline, and respect growing up in a Nigerian household. And what I've learned from my parents has definitely helped being in the real estate industry and working with the diverse community here in the Washington, D.C. area. One of my favorite quotes of all time is said by Muhammad Ali. Service is the rent that I pay for my room in the service. So community service has been a big part of our business, and we've supported several nonprofits in the D.C. area. My name is Koki Adasi, and hopefully you've learned a little bit about myself and our real estate business, and I look forward to the opportunity to speak with you, see if I can assist you with your goals and dreams. So this video is for a couple more seconds, but this kind of shows you what's really important to me, my family, and also basketball. Basketball is actually how I got into real estate. I had a good friend who I played ball with when I was 23 years old. He was 29. He was telling me how he was going to retire at 30, and I was like, how are you going to retire? And so he and I talked about real estate and how he got into the business and started investing at a very young age. And the wonderful thing that happened to me is I was actually doing accounting at the time for a large construction firm in Bethesda, Maryland. And I got fired from that job. And at the time, I was licensed to sell real estate and was doing real estate part-time. And I didn't have any savings and was kind of broke and frustrated. But it turned out to be a blessing in disguise for me. I was able to then begin my career in real estate. And you got to see what has transpired in the last few years. And the one issue with that video is I have another child now, and she's not in the video. And one day she probably will be upset that she's not in the video. So I'll show you all a picture here of Soraya. Soraya is her name, and Soraya means princess. Her brother Akil, his name means wisdom and intelligence. And she's 6 months now, and my kids, my wife mean the world to me. So I wanted to show you guys that real quick. All right, so let's jump into our presentation. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to walk through 5 steps. All right, we're going to spend a lot of time on the first 2. Generating leads is, to me, the most important thing in this business. We all sell real estate, right? So when you're a salesperson, you have to have people that you can work with to sell real estate to. And so how are we going about generating leads? We're going to walk through that, show you things that I've done in the past that have worked well, things that haven't worked, very well for me. And I think it comes down to your personality and the way that you work to decide what's the best tool to use to generate listing leads. Then we'll go into the listing appointment. So how are you preparing for that appointment to meet that seller? What are you doing to learn about the person, prior to that meeting? What are you doing to learn about their property and the comps in their area? So we'll go through that in detail. And then preparing the home to go on the market. Too many times you see listings in the marketplace that have, very bad photos. They've used their BlackBerry or their iPhone to take photos of the property, and they're not staging it. They're not assisting the client with landscaping, things of that nature. So we'll walk through that as well in detail. And then contract to close. You've done all this work to get a contract. Now, how are you going to help that seller get the settlement? We're dealing with all kinds of lenders out here. We get pre-approval letters. They haven't even full credit yet. So, what can we do as professionals to help our sellers have a successful transaction? And then finally, maintaining relationships. We all know the stats from NAR. 80+% of consumers say that they'll use their realtor again, yet only 17% actually use that person. I think the biggest reason is we're not doing a good job of staying in contact with our clients after settlement. And so I'll show you things that I've done in the past that have worked really well, and I also want to hear from you guys as to what you all have also done. Question?
You're kind of going in and out on your, maybe put it on your tie.
Is that better? Good? All right, thank you. All right, so let's start with generating leads.
When you walk on,
Okay.
it doesn't have anything to do with the podium, I might just need a battery.
It's fine.
Test, test. Is that better? Thank you. All right. So generating leads. So first thing we'll talk about are expired listings, withdrawn listings for sub-owners. This is some of the oldest ways that we've used to generate listing leads. By show of hands, how many in the room today currently have a program to try and attract expired listings in their business? Maybe about 10 people in the room here. Okay. Folks who did not raise your hand, have you tried it in the past and this hasn't worked for you? A show of hands? Okay. So I kind of fall into that second category of people who have tried it in the past and hasn't worked well. We've used several different programs to try to generate listing leads through working expireds. You got RedX, you got Landvoice, and there's many others out there. And what we found is that there's a pretty large pool of agents in our marketplace who trying to fight for expired listings. And so, for us, it just wasn't a great business model. However, there's agents who crush it, who focus on FSBOs, focus on withdrawals, expires, and absentee owners. And so something that you may want to consider in your business. What I have here is a letter that we used for some time to try to get their attention, right? And they're getting 10, 15, 20 letters, for these expired and withdrawn listings, so it's hard to kind of cut through. So you also have to piggyback that with phone calls as well, right? You got to take the time to make calls, and sometimes even stop by the properties. What I found is that for our team, we work well with people who we know, people who like us, already trust us, we already have a rapport and relationship with. And so for us, this hasn't been the best tool. However, for some of you, this may work very well. Next, we have sites like Prime Seller Leads, SmartSip, Bold Leads, Facebook Ads, Boomtown. By show of hands in the room, how many folks use any of these websites? Okay, some more. Okay, probably about 15% or so. We use SmartSip for quite a while, and SmartSip is a program that has predictive marketing. And so they take into consideration people's assessed value, how long they've owned the property, how many cars they have, their income, to decide in a certain neighborhood who is most likely to sell next. And so we use the platform for about a year, and we spent about $1,200 a month on this platform. And during that time, we generated several leads, and only converted one or two in that time frame. And so again, for us, we decided that this wasn't the best tool for us. However, on the list there, Facebook ads have been fantastic. And so the way that we use Facebook ads is we post our open houses on our Facebook page, and then we boost the post. And when you boost the post, you can spend anywhere from $10 to 100 plus for that ad for a certain time frame. We typically do 2 days prior to the open house. Open house is on Sunday, 1 to 4. We'll do it on a Friday. Typically spend between $50 to $100, and we reach about anywhere from 10 to 25,000 people in a certain marketplace. And what I like about it is that the demographic information is in there, so you can tailor it to either your friends, friends of your page, or to a certain zip code, or to a certain category, people who like basketball, or people who are attorneys. And for us, it's been a great way to generate a lot of traffic for open houses, which has given us more listing opportunities and buyer opportunities as well. Before I go to the next slide, has anyone had success with Prime Seller Leads or Boomtown or any other website besides Mora? No one at all? Okay, so I guess this is not a tool for you guys to use for seller leads. Farming has been.
You want to explain? We may not know what Boomtown and Prime Seller Leads are.
Sure.
So maybe talk a little bit about.
Sure. Prime Seller Leads is, to me, it's a valuation website. So you see here in the top right, there's a space there for someone to go in and type in their address. So they type it in, it then creates a lead which goes to the agent. So you now have the address of the person who is on the site. And then for more information with comps in their neighborhood, they then put in their contact information along with their email address. And sites like that typically pull from Zillow, I'm sure you all love, and it gives them comps and an estimate of the value of their home. We all know that the value is not accurate, right? So the hope is that we can then create that lead to then give them our professional opinion on the value of their home. So these sites have been out now for a few years, and we see them on a lot of top agent websites. They use these to try and capture several leads. Farming. How many folks in the room currently have a farm area? Okay, more of you. Okay, we're getting there. All right. Farming to me is right now the second best part of our listing business. And what I've learned over the years is that farming takes a long-term commitment, right? And so the first several years in the business, we created farm areas and we sent out postcards for a month here, 2 months, 3 months, no results, and then we stopped doing it because we weren't getting listings. And it wasn't until 2 years ago when I met with a couple agents in San Diego at a CRS conference, Kyle Killebrew from Springfield, Illinois, and Alex Milstein from Ann Arbor, Michigan, both of whom sell over 200 homes a year and have farm areas. So I sat down both of them and asked them, what do you guys do differently to attract business in your farm area? And they both said the exact same thing. And that is that when you create a farm, number one, you have to have at least a 2-year plan in place for the farm. A 2-year plan. So again, in the past, I had done 2 months, 3 months, I think one time I did 6 months or so, and it just wasn't long enough. Because it takes 7 or 8 contacts for the people to even recognize who you are, right? So you need to have a 2-year plan in place, and in the first 2 months, you want to try and touch them at least 8 to 12 times in the first 2 months. 8 to 12 times in the first 2 months, and then on month 3 throughout, you can do it once a month, but it has to be consistent. And so we decided in January of 2014 to create a farm area in Washington, D.C., which included the neighborhood that I live in, along with some row homes and condos around it. And so we're sending out right now about 5,000 pieces a month, and since that time frame, January 2014, we've sent out over 100,000 postcards. All right? We've spent over $40,000 marketing to this farm. Sounds like a lot of money, right? When we look at the return on investment, it's pretty significant. And what's beautiful about this is that the farm area is double our average sales price. So anytime we get a listing in that area, it's really like selling 2 properties. So we focused on a higher tier market so that we can do the same amount of work and get paid double the money. So farming has been awesome for us, and I would highly recommend anybody who works a certain neighborhood, works in an area that you know very well, to spend the time to do the homework up front to see if there's any agents right now who have a high market share in the area. If they do, is there anything that you can do differently to try and attract some of that business? But preferably it'd be an area that not one agent is currently dominating. Question?
What was you touch them 8 to 12 times the first 60 days, and then after that once a month?
Correct. And then the nice thing about that is when you start getting listings, then you're sending out just listed, under contract, just sold, so now you're getting them 3 times in a month. And we've had a couple months where we've sent out probably 6 or 7 postcards in a month, and this is after that first year. And what's nice is if any of you guys door knock, let's show hands. Anybody door knocking here? A few of you. What's nice is going to someone's door, knocking on the door, and you've never seen them in your life, and they say, "Hi, Koki, how are you doing?" Because they've seen that postcard over and over and over and over again. It's kind of creepy, to be honest. But if you want to be your town mayor, so to speak, farming is a great way to do it. It's a great way to do it, and then when you couple that with the phone calls, going door to door, doing things in the community, being involved in the HOA, it's a great way to attract business.
What types of things are you sending?
The question is, what type of things are we sending? So besides just listed, just sold, under contracts, we're sending out information on the marketplace. So if we don't have any listings active at the time, we'll send out a market report, what's active, what's under contract, what's sold in the last 30 days or so. We'll send out information on how to winterize your home. So we're going into the winter time, so tips for folks to winterize their property. We've sent out information on tax assessments. Folks have very high tax values. They want to dispute their taxes. We'll give them information on how to go about doing that. So really anything that you can think of, and the key is to be in front of them consistently. And we've had months where we've said the same thing month after month, the same message. So it doesn't matter as long as you're hitting them consistently.
What company does your postcards?
I use a company called My Marketing Matters. They're based out of Gaithersburg, Maryland. Question over here?
What's a good price point that you try to reach with a company per piece?
Question is how much do we pay per piece? So we use every door direct mail for our postcards, and it comes down to 40 cents a piece. And that's production of the postcard plus postage, 40 cents a piece.
That farm area include about how many residents?
The farm area has 4,678 homes in the farm area, and there's a farm within the farm that we've kind of dominated. And there's 98 homes in an HOA, and in the last 2 years there's been 8 sales there, and we've sold 5 of those homes. And the price range is $900,000 to $1.2 million.
Hey, Koki,
Yes.
you said you spend 40 cents each. Does that include the printing and the card
Yes.
itself?
That includes everything, 40 cents a piece.
And the mailing?
Correct.
And the postage?
Yep,
Every
it's a
door
great
direct?
price. Every door direct mail. So the way every door direct mail works is that you choose your postal route, and it hits every single home within the postal route. So we've had probably 4 people call and say, hey, please take us off your list, and we just can't. It goes to every single home within that route.
And that's within the United States Postal Service?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And what size is the postcard?
The postcard it's 8.5 by
So large.
8.5 by 5.5. Yep. Question.
I'm not trying to get the secret sauce, but how do you get your addresses?
Sorry, say again?
Like how do you get your addresses?
The question is, how do you get the addresses? So the addresses, when you go on the U.S. Postal website, they will have a list of every single route in any area in the country. And you pick a route, it shows you how many homes there are in that route, and that can be one farm area for you.
So when you've gotten these seller leads, how have they come to you? By phone call or?
The question is, when we get the several leads, how are they coming to us? Typically, it's by email. Occasionally, we do get phone calls, but typically it's by email. And then we'll get to the, in a few slides, kind of walking you through, once you get the lead, then what? How are you going to qualify that seller?
Are they going on your website and then contact you through your?
Correct.
You have a website on there.
We have a website on there.
And
They
they'll
go
contact
there,
you.
fill the contact form, they fill in their information, their property address.
So it's really not that they're emailing you, they're going to your website.
Correct, and we get an email from the website.
My question's going back to where you said we should research the areas to see if another agent is dominating. What suggestions do you have for starting that research process?
The question is, what suggestions do we have for starting the research process to choose a farm area? So you can start with anything. You can start with the condo building, you start with the subdivision, start with the zip code, whatever it is, and just look back for the last like 3 to 4 years and see who've been the listing agents during that time frame. If you've had say 50 sales in that time frame and one agent has 25 plus sales, they have a significant amount of market share there. It might be challenging to try and kick them out and I guess in the market. So I try to find a place where an agent has at most 15% of the market for any, whether it's a condo building or neighborhood subdivision. 15% or less, I'd be all for it. I'll take 2 more questions, then we'll move on.
When you go to the Postal Service, does it say Dear Neighbor or does it have their actual name?
It has their name on it. It has their name on it.
On your 40 cents per piece, does that include your artwork as well?
So the question is, the 40 cents a piece, does that include the artwork? So the artwork is done in-house. So my assistant creates the postcards. It's all templates, so we use the same thing over and over again. And it's just putting in pictures or changing the address, changing the price. So it takes her probably 10 minutes to edit a postcard. But creating the template took some time to create the postcards.
And I don't know if it varies from state to state, but here they have us put local postal customer on the card instead of.
Versus the name?
Yes.
I don't think that's for EDM though, because ours have the names
Okay.
on our Every Door Direct mail.
Okay. All right, last question. Go ahead.
We didn't hear all that.
Her question was regarding having the names on the postcards. She was saying that here, they don't put the names on the postcards, they put postal customer, but ours have the names on the postcards.
So I've got a question on the investment. It seems like 18% of the commission go to the marketing part of it, is what I calculated roughly. It seems kind of high to me, but have you found in your travels, is that kind of a norm for successful teams and agents across the country, or is it on the high side?
So the question is regarding the percentage that's actually going towards the cost of the postcards. And what I can tell you, like for our team, is that it's been so this only includes the listing sales that we've had, from our farm. What's nice is, if you're selling someone's house at $900,000, just hanging in the area, they're buying at $1.3 million, $1.4 million, $1.5 million, and we did not include that commission in there, so it's actually significantly higher. But this is just showing you what we've done from a pure listing standpoint in our farm area. So the percentage actually would be a lot less, but to your point, yes, in this example here, it's about 18%. Okay, let me show you guys a quick video. Because farming, again, I think farming is very important. It's our second best lead source for sellers, and there's a lot of things that you can do within your farm outside of just postcards to become the neighborhood expert. And I'm going to show you a video from an agent in Tennessee who created a neighborhood video, which I thought was great, and it's another tool to use to kind of add on top of your mailer for that farm area.
I'm Megan Manley.
I'm Brad Copeland. And I'm Brian Copeland, and welcome to Nashville. Inglewood has some of the most architecturally diverse homes in Nashville. If you love Tudor-style homes, this area is your dream zone.
You'll also find enormous four-square homes, new construction replica homes, and a wide variety of floor plans ranging from 600 square feet all the way up to 3,000 plus square feet. This neighborhood rests on the banks of the Cumberland River, so if water living is your thing, you may have that luxury.
Gallatin Pike and Ellington Parkway connect the area to downtown Nashville within 5 to 7 minutes. Residents find everything they need, however, right here in Inglewood. From big box grocery stores to locally owned coffee shops to huge home improvement stores, Inglewood has it all. Plus, in 4 miles, you can experience the shopping, movies, and restaurants that Opry Mills offers.
Expect a very close-knit community with one of the most sought-after school zones in the Nashville area, Dan Mills Elementary. Students in certain areas of Inglewood will have priority zoning.
Expect prices to be 30 to 40% under the average Nashville home price, meaning that Inglewood is a spectacular value.
Search Inglewood Homes at NashvilleandBeyond.com using Area 6 and the zip code 37216.
By show of hands, how many folks in the room use video as part of their business? All right, about 10 people. Okay. So our team, has used video in the past, and as of recent, we haven't used video much. And last week I was in Alabama at a presentation and got to hear Phil Becker from San Antonio. Some of you may know. We used the video, I think better than most in the country. And we're looking forward to adding some video, onto our farming platform to kind of help couple the information that we're sending out and have videos that people can go to time and time again as an online resource. So our number one way to generate several leads is through our sphere of influence and past clients. And we have a ton of fun with people that we've worked with in the past, our friends and family. And so here I have a few pictures and kind of walk you through some of the things that we've done in the past. So on the left, last year we had a casino night. It was on November 1st, so the day after Halloween, and it was also a Halloween party. And we had 120 of our past clients show up for an awesome night at a great restaurant. And we had a company called Vegas Nights who came out. They had blackjack, poker, roulette, craps, and we had tickets for everybody who came to the event. So everyone got got 100 tickets, and then could gamble essentially, but there was no money involved. And we had a lot of prizes that we gave out at the event. iPads, gift cards, and stuff. And it was just a great time to have fellowship, with your past clients and friends, and not talk about real estate. But of course, it always results in referrals, right? Top middle there, we did more of a family event. We had a morning movie event where we rented out a movie theater. We had about 85 of our clients show up with a lot of their children, and just had a great time there. We had breakfast for them and mimosas for the parents, and people really enjoy doing things with their kids. And tomorrow, actually, we're having our biggest event ever. We have 155 RCPs, and we're going to a pumpkin patch tomorrow at 11 o'clock. So if you friend me on Facebook, you'll see some photos of that tomorrow or Sunday. On the top right, we always try to incorporate charity in all of our events. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I think it's very important to give back to the community. And being a realtor and helping people with buying and selling properties, I think it gives us a great opportunity to do that. And so that was an event we did at a Ruth's Chris in Washington, D.C. And we actually had everyone at the event, donated money to this organization. Some people brought $1, others brought $20, whatever it was, and then we matched the total donation. And so that was just an awesome night, and they were very appreciative of the support that we gave to them. In the middle and the bottom, you all know that I'm a basketball fan. I have season tickets to the Washington Wizards. I got floor seats. I take all my clients to the games, and it is an incredible experience. And what I found is that people really appreciate when you take the time to think about them, right? And I know that not all my clients like basketball, and I make sure to ask them. So I want to give it to folks who I know would like it and might really enjoy that experience. And having a relationship with Washington Wizards, a lot of times we'll have our sales rep, we'll have a player stop by before the game, say hi to them, or someone within leadership of Washington Wizards. So it's great to have that connection and have those relationships. And then bottom right, I play golf occasionally. I'm not very good, but it's a great way to spend time with people and have 4 or 5 hours to build a relationship. We'll talk more later about relationships, but I think that's really the foundation of our real estate businesses. And a great quote that I heard last week was, our job when we meet with new buyers and sellers is not to build rapport. Our job is to build relationships, and that's much deeper. And to me, that's going to not only fuel your business, but also fuel your life as well. Reviews. So, who here is currently paying? Please be honest. To be on Zillow and Trulia. Probably about 8 people in the room. Okay. So, in the past, our team has spent a lot of money marketing on Zillow and Trulia. And what we found is that we were getting a lot of bad leads. And when I say bad leads, we were marketing in a zip code in DC 20009, where the average sales price is $550,000. And all the leads that we got were between like $50,000 to $150,000. And we're like, these homes aren't even in this area. And so we decided, at our team retreat last year to stop paying Zillow and Trulia. And what we found is that when we stopped investing money there, we actually began to get better leads. And the reason for that is that we have all our clients after closing write a review for us online. Okay? Something that anyone in here can do. You create a profile and ask your clients to write reviews. It's free. It costs you no money. And if someone searches for an agent in Buckhead, they rate it by number of reviews that you have. And so we pop up high, and then people contact us directly, and those are typically very good leads that come through. So I highly recommend to create a system, when you close a transaction, or once a buyer or seller goes under contract, to ask them to write a review for you online. Angie's List, Yelp, Facebook business page, other sources to generate reviews online. And just think about the last time you went to a restaurant or went to travel, whatever it might have been. You probably spent time online reading reviews, right? So our business is no different than any other industry, and so we should focus on this. Who currently has a system in place where you ask for reviews from your clients? Okay, a lot of you do. Excellent. The question in the back.
Yeah. So this is a question about the reviews.
just happen to go to Zillow, Julia, which is now being combined, or do you say, so this person asked them to go to Yelp, and then this person asked, because I'm not gonna ask them to go to 5 different websites and write the same review.
Yes, so we send them out an email after closing, which has a link to each website, and we ask them to just write one review, and then they can copy and paste it in the other websites. So try to make it as easy as possible for them, where all the information is right there. They can just click, go in, and we recently had a client who's part of the silent generation, which I'll talk about later, who actually asked us to write the review and send it to them, and then they would post it. So it worked out pretty well for us. Question?
Kind of back to the previous slide. Were you doing like those things when you were first getting started, or did you have more cost-effective? I mean, I would imagine the casino nights probably expensive.
Yep. Good question. So her question is, when I first started in the business, did we do these kind of events? They're probably expensive. So when I first started in the business, we still did events. We did much smaller events. And I actually remember my first event was at Dave & Buster's, right? And I was like a year in the business, and the first year in real estate, I sold 2 homes. I made $7,000, right? So I had no money, and I invited all my friends and family, to the event. We had like 80 people there. It's kind of crazy. And my mom paid for it. Right? Mom helped me out big time, right? And but what was nice is we created this like great atmosphere. I mean, it was a ton of fun. People were like, wow, all these clients, this is crazy. And I sold 2 houses. So we've always tried to do events, always. And now we try to do like smaller, more like strategic events. So for instance, we had two members of the military who moved to DC within the last few months, and both were stationed in Italy. And so we actually did a little happy hour with myself and my buyer's agent, and then both the clients and their spouses as well, trying to help them build a relationship, kind of outside of us. And to me, it's so besides the business that you get out of it, it's just very enriching to have people who you can call a friend and help them out in their lives outside of real estate. So back to the reviews. Any questions on the reviews here?
Are you using a system other than sending out your emails?
For
You're just emailing with the links. So are you using Real Satisfied, or are you using?
Yeah, no, we're not using any system outside of emailing our clients to write the reviews. But as Moore mentioned, there are websites that can help you with that, like Real Satisfied.
I was just gonna say, email wasn't working very good for me, so I started texting people, and I got a much higher rate of return.
So she got a higher rate of return from her clients by texting them versus emailing them.
And friends. My friends wouldn't even do it. I had something to help out. So I texted them finally, and they finally replied. I just copied, I was using Zillow specifically, so I copied the link, put it in the text, they just click on the text, and I still had to bug them through a text, but they did it. And it was very nice.
I think it's a great idea. There's times where we'll email more than once, or call them, and you have to know how the client wants to be responded to. And so text can be a great way to get reviews.
Absolutely.
Is there a way we could get a sample of your, like a hard copy sample?
Her question is, can you get a hard copy sample of the presentation?
No,
and at the very
the review. That's the review slide.
The email. Okay, yes, you can. At the end, you'll have my email address. If you email me, I'll send you that information along with the PayPal. Send me $100 for that. So yes, I will forward that to you. And whoever else wants any of this information, just send me your email. I'm more than happy to share it with you. Any questions before we show another video? Okay. So the next video here is probably the best real estate review that I've seen online. And the first time I saw it, it actually brought tears to my eyes. So I'll show you here.
So Ryan Gonzalez was your agent. How would you describe him?
Awesome. He walked me through everything, answered all my questions. Didn't matter what time I called, he was available. Evenings, weekends. He was a really great guy.
What would you say to all the first-time home buyers about working with Decker Properties and Ryan?
I would highly recommend it. I lost my house a few years back, So it was like if I was starting over, you know, getting my finances in order, taking care of debt, you know, everything that I needed to do, Ryan was there to guide me. So it was just like if I was buying all over again, first time.
Awesome.
I think also on the other side, right? And I told you how important it was for safety because I didn't have my dad anymore. So even though I know you didn't know how to react or what to say, but you were there. And when we went looking at other homes, you knew how important that was to me, you know, being single and being without now that man in my life, you know, my father, you know, you always took that into consideration whenever we looked at a home. You gave me your opinion, your advice, you know, I don't recommend this because it needs this, you know, and so yeah, you know, I will always hold you in my heart, you know, because you did go beyond at that moment when I needed that person to be there.
Would you recommend Ryan and Becker properties to your family and friends?
Oh, of course, I did even before we closed.
I mean, pretty powerful, right? So one thing that our team is going to start to incorporate are video testimonials. I mean, I think that's very powerful. Obviously, this is a different situation where her father actually passed away during the transaction, and an agent was there to kind of console and assist her, you know, through that process. But we all have had those fantastic customers who just like really enjoyed working with, and you don't think that they wouldn't mind saying a few words about you on video. So it's something that we're actually looking forward to incorporating in our business to try and attract more clients. Okay. Now, this is a pretty cool slide here for a few reasons. So 2 years ago at the mid-year conference in DC, how many folks here go to mid-year in DC each year? All right, so about 3 or 4 of you. Okay.
Who's that hosted by? National Association?
NAR. And so this guy, Nick Klein, who to this day I still haven't met, posted on Facebook and says, all right, believe it or not, any recommendations for DC agents for 2 couples I met tonight. No referral fee, just DC agents that know what they are doing. And so, you know, before I go into the responses, you know, to me, the value of being here today with you all is to, you know, not only just share information with you, but also meet folks who are in a different marketplace. Again, there's, you know, like a client, you never know when I could assist you or when you could assist me. And so these are all people who I've met over the years at different conferences. And so the first person there, Phil Becker from San Antonio, posts Koki Adasi all day. And then Joe Atkins, who's also from Texas, you know, posts my name. Scott Bosberg is from North Carolina. I met him at a real estate conference a few years ago. He recommends me. Shay Lawrence Hada from Chicago mentions my name, and then Peter from Philadelphia. So these are all folks who I've met just over the years and have, you know, created a relationship with. So, you know, it goes a little further from just, you know, meeting you, getting your card, you know, and then it's over. You know, it might be a, you know, follow-up handwritten note, you know, maybe an email checking in with you every now and then to see how things are going, to, you know, try and actually establish a relationship, right? So if you have someone who's in DC and you know what, guy Koki, who I met, you know, at that CE class, you know, he actually followed up with me, seemed like a pretty decent guy, like maybe I'll refer it to him. But, you know, to me, we are a great source of business for each other. And I think it's very important to keep that in mind and to know that it's okay to network with other realtors. We can help each other build our own businesses without having to go outside to find other ways. Is there a question in the back? All right. Before we go on to the next phase, any other questions on generating leads?
In terms of networking with agents in other parts of the country, do you have those systems that you use to keep them? Do you have a schedule of sending like what you're doing?
Yep. So her question is, you know, do I have a system in place to, you know, stay in touch or follow up with people who I meet at different conferences? And the answer is yes. So when I meet people at conferences, I typically get a bunch of business cards, and I'm like super old school. And I send a handwritten note to every single person. My bag right here, I actually show you. So this morning, I got up at 4:30 to get up at 4:30 every morning. I know it's kind of crazy. And I began writing handwritten notes. So I completed all these this morning. I still have about 25 more to complete. But to me, it's like when I get a handwritten note, like wow, this person took the time to like write to me outside of just an email or a text message. I think it's a great way to try and connect a little bit deeper with somebody. And so that's the first step, is sending a handwritten note. And then depending on the conversation we had, and if I think it's someone that I want to stay in contact with, I typically will follow up with them like every 6 months. And that's for agents. I don't see a need or reason to follow up more often than that, but I've built some incredible relationships over the years with real estate agents outside of the DC area, more being one of them.
Do you do on Trulia or Zillow the questions, answers, things? Do you do any of that responding, and have you had any success with that?
The question is if I do any of the Zillow or Trulia questions on there and responding to them.
Writing questions
Yep.
and ask about different things.
Yeah, I honestly can only recall one question that I replied to, and it was a co-op that I was selling in DC. So it was a listing that I had, and someone posted a question on it, and I replied to that. But outside of that, I haven't responded to any questions, so really can't give you any information on that. Does anyone here in the room respond to questions on Zillow and Trulia to the general consumers?
It's been a while.
You have? Have you had any success with that, or?
You know how the leads that come from that website, so I've got some bad leads from it.
Yeah. Okay.
With your handwritten notes, do you include a business card, or do you have a custom card you use?
Her question is, do I include a business card in the handwritten note? And typically I do not, because I do have custom cards, and it has my logo on it, it has a website on there, so I typically don't include a business card as well. But one thing I learned a long time ago from someone at an event like this was not only include the date, but the time. And when you put the time on there, and people see it, like it makes them like pause for a second, kind of like think a little further about that note card. So I write the time on there as well.
The time that you're writing it?
Correct.
Or the time you met it?
The time that I'm writing that actual handwritten note.
4:38.
What's that?
4:38.
Yeah.
4:38.
You mentioned you do about a 6-month follow-up on agents. Do you typically follow up with a handwritten again, or email?
Email. Yeah, the 6-month follow-up with agents is via email. A lot of folks I'm now friends with on Facebook. I have a few different private groups on Facebook that are strictly real estate agents, and we just mastermind and kind of network together.
How much of your business comes from referrals coming in?
That is a great question. The question is how much of my business comes from referrals from other agents. And I was actually thinking last week, I need to go through for the last 9 years and see how much business I've actually had. But I can tell you right now, we currently have 4 deals under contract that are from referrals from other agents. And one of them is actually from Ron Phipps, who was our president a couple years ago. And I have a great relationship with their family. His son, Matt, is in real estate. He was a 30 and a 30. He and I are very close. We have a lot of similar interests. He loves basketball, he loves hip hop. So yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of positive business from agents across the U.S.
So to summarize, the best sources that you're using to generate leads, it has to be a mix, right? You're not focusing on your online or farming or anything, right? So you have to have a multiple source.
Yeah. So her question is. Yeah. So I guess her statement is that for leads that we've gotten to help sellers with selling their properties, it's come from multiple sources, which I've shared with you. The best sources have been through agents, through people that we know, and past clients, and also through our farm area. Those have been our kind of like top tier for our referrals. But there are several sources out there, many of which we haven't even touched on today.
Now, your first year in business, you were by yourself. When
Correct.
did you start to get the thought it's better to work as a team?
Correct. So first year in business by myself, just me. Second year in the business, was still by myself and started to sell more homes and started to get really busy. And fortunately at the time I was still single, so I had to work all the time. And then third year in the business, started dating my wife and started getting really serious. And I was like, I'm working like around the clock, and so that's when I got my first assistant. And if you're looking to hire somebody or create a team, I'd recommend hiring the admin first. And because as salespeople, we're probably not the best at admin, and you need to have someone that can help you create your systems. And you should have a system in place for every single thing that you do. So from getting a phone call from a seller lead or from prospecting, you should have a system for how you go about doing each task each day. And for me, that was the first time I was the assistant before bringing on a buyer specialist.
How many hours do you put in a week?
What's that?
How many hours do you put in a week?
How many hours do I put in a week? I probably work about 45 hours a week. And it's not a super crazy schedule. I have 2 buyers agents on the team, so they handle most of the buyer transactions. I have a full-time assistant who handles all our marketing and the coordination of transactions. So it leaves me for lead generation, meeting with sellers and helping negotiate contracts. Before that, it was 70, 80 hours plus. And I didn't have much of a life, outside of real estate. Yes.
I'd love to know how you structure your day. So at 4:30 in the morning, you're writing.
So look, all right. This is actually a great question. So how do I structure my day? It's pretty exciting stuff for me. So my whole life, I've been a morning person. I think I was telling my Uber driver the story yesterday in the hotel, from the airport. So when I was 5 years old, right? 5 years old, I began working, right? I helped my dad with 2 paper routes at 3 o'clock in the morning every single day, right? At 5 years old. So I've always been a morning person, and like in college, it was like 5 a.m. wake up, and up until 2 weeks ago, I was got up at 5 o'clock, and then I was in Seattle at a conference, and heard a guy by the name of Hal Elrod, who wrote the book The Miracle Morning. You all heard of that book? Great book. And I was like, you know what? I'll start getting up at 4:30 in the morning to have time to meditate and write my journal and stuff prior to working out and getting my day started. So I get up at 4:30 now every day, and I write, I read, I meditate, have a moment of silence, and then around 5:30 to 6 is when I work out. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I play basketball at 5:45 in the morning. There's actually 12 guys who show up at a nice gym in DC. And Wednesday and Friday, I play at 6:30. And it's like 2 private schools. All the guys went to the private schools. They're all making tons of money. One guy sold a one-bedroom condo last year for $1 million. To this guy. But for me, it's great networking, and it's what I love doing. Right? And then I get home around like 7:30, and then help get the kids ready. Got 2 little kids. Help get them ready. Take my son to school around like 8:15, 8:30 or so, and then I get to the office around like 9 to 9:30 when I get in the office. And the first 2 hours in the office, my goal is to do straight lead generation. Right? So like right now, my phone is transferred to my assistant. So any calls that come in, she handles. She has my email, so whatever comes in, she can handle. And my goal is to be on the phone making calls, send out emails to past clients, listing leads, and any other leads that come in during that week. And around noon, having lunch, try to have at least 2 power lunches a week, whether it's with a lender or with the past client or with someone who I want to get to know better. And then in the afternoon, it's just follow-up stuff. So emails, checking in with my assistant for deals that are going on, fires that have to get put out, and I try to limit my appointments in the evening. That's really like my main time with the kids. They get home around like 5:30 or 6, and so I like to have time to see them. And there are days where if I leave early or get home late, I won't see the kids, and to me that's really important. So I try to make sure that I have time to do that. So appointment time is usually early evening or on weekends during halftime. Really, I try to between like 1 and 4 o'clock at halftime. That's when I try to schedule my appointments on the weekend.
What is your breakdown of your team, how you pay them? I know you have two buyer's agents, so I'm guessing commission, but you also have a marketing agent and an assistant?
Yep. Yeah. So our question is, what's the breakdown of my team? So I'll get to that shortly. So I'll kind of hold off on that, but and then commission as well and all that. I can explain that to you once we get to those slides. Now, before we flip forward, I think you guys have done a fantastic job so far. And you guys deserve a break, right? So we'll take a 10-minute break. We'll start back at 11:10. All right, you guys having fun so far?
Yep.
Yeah. Good, good. All right, so we've gone over generating leads. I think you guys have done a fantastic job of bringing in some nice several leads that we can now work with. Now we got to qualify them, right? And this process here to me it's also fun. I mean, the whole thing is fun, but it's also fun part of the process because if you've been to any organization, company, office, whether a doctor, whatever it might be, when you experience great service, they usually have great systems in place, right? So if you call to go to the doctor, make an appointment, they're going to ask you certain questions before you come into that appointment, right? They've got to prepare for you. They've got to know what issue you have. How can they serve you best? Well, we as realtors are no different. Okay, so I'm going to walk through what I feel are some of the best questions to ask the seller prior to going to their property. And then I also want to get some questions from you all as well, because I know that this list is not exhaustive. Okay? So the first one we have here is, how long have you considered selling your home? Why is this question important?
Motivation. Motivation, that you know how motivated they are.
Motivation, to know how motivated they are to sell. Why else?
Maybe they're just starting to think about it.
Maybe they're just starting to think about it. Maybe something just happened in their life that created this thought, but they're not ready to sell just tomorrow. It might take them time to actually become a listing.
Maybe they've been talking to realtors for years.
Maybe they've been talking to realtors for years. They just enjoy talking to realtors. We've all had them, right? We've all had them. So this is the first question that I like to start with, just to start to get a feel for where this person is coming from. And then we start to dig a little bit deeper as we go through the questions. Have you found a new home to purchase or rent? Why do we ask this question?
For buying them, that's more that's a
You want to know a timeline. Why else? Will it be 2 transactions? Why else?
Pending event.
Impending event. Why else?
Sense of urgency.
Sense of urgency. So to me, besides having 2 transactions, it might be a referral. Okay? They're moving to Tennessee. I know a great agent in Nashville, right? And I can then refer them to that person and then get compensation from that referral. So it's important to know this information up front because a lot of times this question isn't asked, and then that same day or the following day they're calling someone out in Tennessee to find an agent there when you could have referred them to somebody, right? So let's ask this question up front. What is your motivation for selling? And this question I like because typically the answer you get is not truly the answer, right?
Right.
We need more space, or we're just the neighborhood, whatever. But there's usually something a little bit deeper as to why they want to sell the property. And so, what I love about asking the questions is that you have to have patience, and when you ask the question, just remain silent and give them all the time in the world to speak. Some of the best salespeople in the world ask great questions and then shut up. And I think as realtors, we need to do that. We need to ask them the questions and let them spill everything to us and take great notes because they're going to share with you everything that we need to know to help them in this process. Have you used a real estate agent before? If so, how was the process for you? And I ask this question for a couple of reasons. The first is, if they use an agent to buy the property, which most of them did, why are they not talking to that agent? Right? Was there an issue there, something that didn't go great in that process? Or do they intend to also interview that agent as well? So we're going to ask this question to try to dig a little deeper and find out where they are in that process. And if they enjoyed the process or didn't like it, we need to know that information. So we know what not to do and what to do to make them happy throughout the transaction. What factors are they considering in selecting an agent? Here's where they're telling you what you need to know to get the job. So again, just be patient, let them answer, take notes, and then during that appointment, this is what you're going to focus on for them. They want someone who's honest, trustworthy, who's going to work hard for them, sell their home fast for top dollar. And those are things that you want to focus on during that appointment. What price would you list your home for? The response you typically get is, oh, well, that's why we're calling you. You're the expert, and you have to dig deeper on this, because if you don't, it's going to be very challenging when you're recommending a price between $400 and $425, and they're thinking $550, right? So we need to have a heads up from the jump as to what they're considering for the price. And so my response typically is, yes, you're right, I am the market expert, but typically, I find that when people are looking to sell their property, they usually look at neighbors' homes, or they check out estimates online. So what have you seen, and what would you be happy with getting for your home? Right. So it's a very, very soft question, and they almost always answer it. And then it helps me know how I need to prepare for that meeting going into it. Right? Has anybody had this question not answered, and you go in and it kind of backfires, right, in that appointment? It's happened to me a few times. I learned my lesson. What is your current loan balance? So we're going to help prepare a net sheet for them so they can see what they're going to walk away with when they sell the property, hopefully. Or this could be a short sale situation. Might be underwater. But again, we have to have the information up front in order to prepare for that appointment. Sometimes, they're not, willing to give us information, and you can do a little bit of, research to see the MLS, what they paid for, what the loan balance was at the time of purchase, and make some estimations. But typically, they do give the information. Provide a description of your home and the address. So with this question, I asked another question, which is not on here, which I want to share with you all. And the question is, Mr. Seller, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being new construction, brand new, all the bells and whistles and upgrades, and 1 being a place that needs to be torn down and rebuilt, how would you rate your property? And what I found in this question, I can't remember who I heard this from, is that they're almost always right. And they're like pretty accurate with it. I mean, they're like, oh, well, it's really, really nice, but it's not brand new construction. It doesn't have all the updates and bells and whistles. And they'll say, oh, it's an 8, it's a 9. Typically, it's an 8 or 9. And there's times where it's in really rough condition. They'll say it's a 5 or 6. But again, it's important to know ahead of time what you're walking into. That's going to impact how you're advising them on comps and value of the property. Okay? What are the factors about your home or neighborhood that you feel will be most attractive to potential buyers? In this question here, they're writing the marketing piece for you. Okay? They're telling you what's important to them, why they consider this property, why they consider the neighborhood. It's stuff that we can use in our marketing piece, because when we get into talking about Gen X and Gen Y consumers, they want to be involved in the process with helping you create the material and the information. We have to know that going into the meeting, so that we don't feel like they're trying to do our job. That's just how they operate, right? And it's okay to have them assist us in that process. It actually makes our job easier. When do you want your home to go on the market? So we're going to be signing an agreement when I meet with you, or is this going to take some time to get you around to being able to list your property? And we'd be ready to list your home when we meet. And this question here, they usually tell me that, hey, well, we like you and all, and we've gotten all your postcards and stuff, but we plan to talk with a couple other agents. And in our marketplace in D.C., we have a couple of discount brokers in the market. And I'm sure you all have heard of the one company, starts with an R, and their 2 biggest markets in the country are Seattle and Washington, D.C. And so for us, we know that competing with them, we have to show our value. And I'm going to show you in some slides later how we show the value and how we're able to compete with discount brokers in the marketplace. But before I proceed, what other questions are you all asking sellers prior to meeting with them to help qualify that person so that you know it's a good opportunity to actually go on that appointment.
I'm not going to contribute to that. I just have a question about this.
Yes.
So is this what you're doing when you first get the lead and you're on the phone, or are you doing this when you go to the house and kind of check it out before you put together a listing presentation?
So her question is, when are these questions asked to the potential seller lead, right? These questions are asked on the initial phone call from the seller or initial email from the seller. So this is all information that we have prior to the appointment. And it's maybe one of the first things we go over with them at the appointment. Because a lot of times when you're talking to them on the phone, you're getting an email, you're getting one person's answers, right? And if there's a couple, or if it's owned by, by an LLC, and there's 3 partners, you're not getting everyone's answers. And so in that meeting, it's important to go back through this to reconfirm the information. Because sometimes the information changes a little bit when you have both parties sitting there in front of you.
How do you deal with the client that has the $450,000 home and they think it's worth $550,000? I mean, which we all get all the time. But I'll say, well, how would you feel if I didn't sell your home in 30 days? And they're like, I'm okay with that. Well, suppose I couldn't sell your house in 120 days. I'm okay with that. So there's no motivation there.
Sure. So his question is, how do you deal with the seller who thinks their house is worth $550,000? We know, these experts know that it's worth probably about $450,000 or so, and they're not very motivated. How do you handle that seller? Well, I can tell you the first thing, with asking these qualifying questions and finding out all the details of the seller and their motivation and why they're looking to sell. If they're not very motivated and not realistic on price, that's probably a listing that you shouldn't invest your money and time into, right? If they're highly motivated, unrealistic on price, you might want to consider that because they have to sell, so they may adjust with the market relatively quickly versus sitting for a year on the marketplace at an unrealistic price. So that's really a business decision, but analyzing the whole situation and seeing if it's worth taking on that risk. And we're going to go over objections as well, and we're going to have some fun with that. Question?
I'm curious to know, when you've worked with this client before and you're going through these questions, when you get to the question about have you used an agent before, do you talk about when they were your client before, or do you just kind of skip that question?
Her question is, if I'm dealing with a past client, do I ask the question about, they worked with an agent before being me, how was that process for them? I don't ask that question, but I do ask, what's important to them in the process. And that's when they share with you, well, we really want you to be hands-on and you walk through the process. Our first time selling, we have no idea what we're doing, so really handhold us through the process and take your time. They'll share with you what's going to be important to them.
The other question that might be added would be, will all the owners be there?
The question that she said to add is, will all the owners be at the appointment? And that's certainly a fantastic question because you're going on that appointment, only one party's there, they can't make a decision by themselves, you then wasted your time there, and you have to come back for a second meeting. So make sure that all parties who own the property will be at that meeting.
You mentioned this would be done either through email or phone. This is a lot of questions and all information that we need as realtors, but do you find that clients through email might be intimidated by this, or how would you approach that through email?
Yes, so our question is, do we find that clients might be intimidated by all the questions? And usually if they email us, and they're fine responding to email, because that's how they initially contacted us. And selling your home is a pretty big process, a pretty big deal, right? And so to me, answering a few questions about your property for someone who's going to potentially help you sell your home, it's not really that big of a deal. And it's funny, we just got a new car last week, and it takes more time to buy a freaking car than it does to sign a contract for a listing agreement or for purchase, right?
They hold you hostage.
It's the weirdest thing. I'm
They
like,
pull you out and you're paying cash and they still hold you in there.
So for qualifying a seller, we haven't had any issues with asking these questions. Anything else before we move forward?
I was just going to make a comment that it used to cost more to buy a car, put money down than a house.
Yeah, it's true. It used to cost more to put down on a car than a house. Any other questions that anyone in here would ask the seller prior to meeting with them?
I was just say, this isn't really a question, but I'm an agent, but I typically, when I'm doing a presentation with somebody, I reiterate what they're saying, so they know that I'm listening, but also if there's anything that I'm forgetting, I make sure then that they answer that.
Yeah, so spending the time to reconfirm the information that they're sharing with you, to make sure that you understand exactly what it is that they need, and that you're not missing anything.
Exactly.
How do you set it up to run through all of these? Because we have 12, 13 questions. How do you prepare them for the conversation?
So the question is how do I prepare them for the conversation? And if they call me and I'm in the office or in a place where I have time to talk, they're calling me, they're ready to talk. And so, I'll tell them, Mr. Seller, prior to us scheduling time to meet, may I ask you some questions about your property? And most times they say yes, and then we proceed through all the questions. And again, it's, if we're going to agree to come and meet with you and have an opportunity to present on what we can help you do, we need to be prepared for that meeting and have information from you. And again, via email, if they contact us via email, we respond. Thanks for reaching out to us. Here are a few questions, prior to meeting. So it's pretty straightforward.
I like to ask a lot of questions on the phone sometimes before we meet, because at the end of the day, sometimes you don't even want to go meet.
Right.
Those questions. But the way I always pitch it, if people give me any kind of pushback, is why not waste 15 minutes on the phone now and waste an hour? I don't want to come there and not be prepared and not bring you the information you need. So if you give me 10 minutes when we meet in a couple of days, it'll just be a lot better. And usually they don't disagree with that, because they're like, all right, let me take 10 minutes now, because I don't want you to come here and waste my time for an hour not being prepared. So if they can't answer the questions and they don't want to take the time, the whole deal just kind of doesn't make sense.
Right.
Moving forward, that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, so his point is to tell the seller on the phone, would you rather spend 10 minutes right now talking to me versus potentially wasting an hour, of our time together when it's not a good situation for us. I think that's great. I think that's great to have on the phone. We'll take two more, and then we're going to move on. In the back.
How do you feel about the question of, like, if during the appointment, if we reach the conclusion that it will be beneficial for us to work together, would you be ready to, please with me today or whenever the appointment is?
So her question is, after our meeting, if you feel that we're going to be a good fit to work together, we'd be ready to sign a listing agreement today. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's similar to the last question. But yeah, to ask them up front, because they'll share with you, well, even if you're the right fit, you still have to meet with someone else, the following day, so we want to hold off before signing anything with you. Last question.
How can you find the long balance of your client's house if you don't tell you?
Her question is, where can you find the loan balance of the client's property if they don't tell you? Well, to find the exact loan balance, you can't, because you need to be able to log on to their mortgage statements. However, in the land records and sometimes the MLS, it'll show you what the loan amount was when they purchased, and then you can kind of figure out, well, if they own it for a couple of years, the payment's probably around X, and get a rough idea of what they might owe on the property. And of course, if they refinance and pull cash out, then that's going to impact that. So it's not going to be exact. Okay. All right. So that was step one. Wow, we're geez. So we got 3 hours or 6 hours?
You do have a flight to catch.
Yeah, you have a flight to catch. So we've done a great job of creating these leads, right? Now qualifying the seller. Now we're all excited because we're not going to meet with this seller. Okay, so now we have the listing appointment. So what we're going to do to help prepare ourselves to crush this appointment, right? We're going to walk through those steps. By show of hands, how many in the room currently use some kind of pre-listing package that you send to the seller prior to your meeting with them? By show of hands. Probably about 15, 20 people in the room. Okay? I think that's great. What's the purpose of a pre-listing package?
Just so they can overview it if they have any questions in the phone meeting.
So they can overview if they have questions before you meet.
Shows you've done your homework and put time into it.
Shows you've done your homework and put time into it.
Makes the appointment go much quicker.
Makes the appointment go much quicker.
You're both prepared.
You're both prepared. Why else?
Good introduction to you. Most people
It's a
don't
good
do
introduction
that.
of who you are.
Because most of the other agents that might be interviewing aren't going to do it.
Most other agents will not do it. That's my favorite reason. Because if you're competing, let's try and separate yourself from the competition right away, right? Let's create separation from the competition. And to me, this is the first way to do that. And the second thing is that, when I'm meeting with you, my goal is to learn as much as possible about you and how I can help you, not to sell myself. And so this helps do that ahead of time. It shows our experience, it shows the team's information, our listing statistics compared to the marketplace. So, when I'm with you, I don't want to talk about, what we've done. You've already read that, you've already gone online to do your own homework. We're going to focus on you and what's important to you in this process, okay? So, in the listing package, I'm going to walk through what's contained in here. And the letter here is, to me, it's vital, it's critical. Walks them through what's going to happen when I step through your door. Okay, I'm giving them the agenda right here. And I'll just skip down to the bottom of it, but it says what to expect from our first meeting. We're going to take a tour of your home, or a consultation on your goals, objectives, and time frame for selling. We're going to review the comparables and discuss a pricing strategy. We're going to open discussion about how to effectively market your home to obtain maximum exposure and sign the listing agreement. Okay? You guys saw the presumptive close in there, right? We're going to sign the listing agreement. And if there's any questions or if there's any hesitation, I typically hear about it before the appointment. And before the appointment, when I actually meet with the seller, myself or Sarah, my assistant, will follow up to say, just checking in to make sure that you had time to review the package prior to our meeting. Okay? And this information is sent typically via courier or via email if they want to have it online. Okay, so if I meet with them tomorrow and I'm talking to them right now, they'll have it at their office or at their home within a couple of hours. Okay, and if you don't use a courier or a runner, I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Okay. So next page, we then go into the things for them to prepare for the meeting. And I absolutely love this page here because when you walk into someone's house and you look at the dining room table and they have 2 sets of keys there, the title insurance policy there, their tax records, their utility bills, you know right away it's done. It's done. Just don't trip over yourself during that appointment, right? But this here is important to help them get prepared for the appointment. Again, going back to the doctor situation, right? You have an appointment. They send you information to bring into that appointment, right? You got to fill out these forms here, go to our website, download these forms, and most of us do that. It's going to help save time during the appointment. So why not do the same thing and present ourselves and our business as professionals? Okay? But right there, it walks them through the agenda of what's going to be inside, or the contents of what's going to be inside the package. Next here has our team's bio. Melissa is added on. I have this is my old slide, but it just walks them through our team and a little bit of information about us, and it shows them that we can't do everything by ourselves. And so even if you're a brand new single agent, you have a team. Okay, you have a broker in your office, right? You might have an admin person in your office, a marketing person in your office. These folks are all people who are going to assist you with selling a property. So in my opinion, they're all part of your team. And I would include them in your marketing package that you're sending out to a seller ahead of time. And knowing that you have a team that's going to be helping you sell your property versus just one agent, to me I think that's very, very impactful, very beneficial to show that expertise and that support that you have to help the seller throughout the process. Listing statistics. So here, if you're a new agent, or if your numbers aren't better than the market, then you can use your office's numbers, right? Your office's average days on the market and average list price to sell price ratio. So this again this is our old slide from 13. In 15, our average days on the market is now 17. The market is 45. Our list price ratio right now is 101%, where the market is 96.5%. 6.0 right now. And I'm going to show you in later slides how we have these awesome numbers. I think the numbers are fantastic. We're going to help you sell your property as quick as possible for top dollar by going through this system that we have in place. And so showing them this, you know, it gives them our expertise, right? And it shows them that, hey, you might want to try and negotiate commission with us, but this is what we're going to help you sell versus the competition, versus the average in the marketplace, right? And on the right-hand side there, it shows them NAR stats about pricing. You mentioned earlier about the gentleman who wants to go at 550, the market's at 450. Well, what stats show us is that the longer your home sits in the marketplace, the lower, on average, that it's going to sell. You know, this is not me telling you that these are stats from NAR, who has reviewed this information time and time again. Your home's in the market for a long period of time, the product itself is significantly less than you could have sold if you sold it in the first 30 days. Then we're looking at frequency of use of different information sources for purchasers. So where a buyer is going to find information about listing inventory. Okay? So you won't get to put a $1,000 ad in the Washington Post. That's not where buyers are going. Buyers are going online, buyers are working through their agents, buyers are going to open houses, and so we focus our marketing on those things, right? But without having the information to present to the seller ahead of time, and that makes your case to them more difficult to prove when they say, hey, you know, we think you should be in the Atlanta magazine. And you're like, well, that's not where buyers are looking. If you look at the stats here, this is where consumers are going, and that's where we're going to focus our marketing dollars on. On the right-hand side there, we give them a marketing timeline. And to me, the marketing timeline should be based on the average days in the market through Marketplace or for your team. And so for us, we have a 3-week plan on how we're going to sell your home. If it hasn't sold within that time frame, we're going to have a meeting to discuss a new strategy to help you sell your property. Okay? But again, you need to have this presented to them ahead of time so they know what you're going to do to help them sell their property. On the left there, we have some websites that Mama Foster syndicates out to. And on the right, we show them the process. So we do all this work with marketing your home and getting it ready to go in the market. But then, we have to go through all these steps once we actually get a contract. Right? Because sellers sometimes think that, hey, you're selling homes so fast, you put a sign in the yard, you got a contract, it's over. But it's actually not over. And there's lots of things we have to do to go through the process to get to a successful closing for that seller. And it's important to show them that and walk them through it at the initial appointment. On the left there, we have the sites we're on for reviews. They can go online and look at that information. And on the right, it's a fun set of questions that we ask them to ask other agents in the event of interviewing competition. Because we know that most agents don't know their market statistics, correct? And when they ask those questions, they're probably able to answer them successfully, which hopefully give us a leg up on the competition. So for those of you who raised hands earlier, who currently use their pre-listing package, what other information are you including in here that is not up on these slides?
I send them the seller disclosure statement, the association, all that stuff to have complete.
And she sends the seller disclosure statement, the HOA information, in the event it's in an association. Anything else?
Listing agreement also, so they could read it beforehand.
Listing agreement. Or listing agreement ahead of time prior to the meeting.
Resume?
Resume. For your resume ahead of time as well.
Yep.
Okay. In the back? Comps. Comps are sent ahead of time.
We do a this might happen to you sheet.
This might happen
This
to
could
you
happen
sheet.
when you're selling a house, just things to be aware of.
Things to be aware of for the seller. Anything else?
Marketing brochure.
Marketing brochure. Okay. Anyone else? In the back?
Can you just flip one side on the slide earlier? Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, so I hope you all are taking notes on everything that everyone's sharing here in the room. It's a lot of, I think, great information to include to give you the best opportunity possible to win that listing appointment. All right, so we sent them the package. They got the information. They've reviewed it. We're now about to actually go to their house and meet with them. And to me, there's two important things to know about the market so that to help you on presenting price to the seller. And the first is the absorption rate. So how many folks use this in their current business, figuring out this information? Okay. All right, and we know that this data point here just shows us, how many homes are selling per month. How long is it taking to absorb the inventory that's currently in the marketplace? All right, and so NAR tells us that if we're at 6 months worth of inventory, that's considered a balanced market, right? Balanced market. If it's above 6 months worth of inventory, that's more of a buyer's market. Homes are taking longer to turn over. If it's below 6 months worth of inventory, it's a seller's market. Homes are selling quicker. So right now in DC, we're at about 1.7 months worth of inventory. Homes are selling very fast. Does anyone know roughly what it is in the Atlanta area, greater Atlanta area?
About 3.
About 3 months? It's not bad. It's a stable market in my opinion. So this I think it's important for the properties market. So the condo building, doing the building and surrounding buildings, it's in a subdivision, doing a subdivision or a certain zip code. So the seller knows that when they're in the marketplace, it's not just them. They are competing. And they've got to position themselves well, so hopefully they're in position to be the next home to sell. Okay? So this is the first data point that we go over with the sellers during that meeting. Next we have comps. In our market, price per square foot is very important. Very important. And typically when you're going through comps, you try to stay as close as possible as far as time frame. Typically within 3 to 6 months. We usually have a decent amount of inventory within a time frame to use to present to the seller. In the event that we don't, we will go up to a year, similar to what appraisers will do. And I think it's also important to have all the comps with you in the appointment. So if you're not printing them all out, to have it either on your iPad or on your laptop, because the seller will always ask you, well, you know what? The property sold around the corner, it was $870, and it didn't have this, and this, so I think we should be at $950. And you can pull up the listing and say, well, we can go through the photos right now and look at, all the improvements that the property had and how it compares to your home to help advise them on price. And if you're in a marketplace where you're not as familiar with the comps, you have to go out and preview the homes, right? You've got to know the homes better than the seller, because I'm telling you, they go to open houses, they're talking to their neighbors, they know a lot of information about their market, and more than they'll tell you. And we're the experts, we have to spend the time to do our homework up front, so that during that meeting, any question they ask, we'll have the answer to. Okay? Now, by show of hands, how many folks in here are going out to actually preview comps prior to an appointment? Or are you guys usually in areas that you're pretty familiar with and you already know the inventory? By show of hands. Close. About a quarter of the people here. Okay? Anything else that you're doing to prepare comps for your seller prior to the meeting?
I have taken my seller into my competition for them to go through the house.
Taking the seller into comp. I think that's fantastic for someone who might be unrealistic and they can get a price that you know is above market. Showing them what's active, showing them what's pending on the market.
I like to check and see if there's been any private sales for things that were sold that weren't in the MLS.
Is there anything that is sold off market that was not in MLS? So you're checking the tax record to see what is transferred outside of what's in MLS. Anything else? All right, so we're about to cross the threshold and go into their property. We have got to know this seller before we walk into the door. And so I do a little bit of homework. Right. You can call it stalking, I call it homework. To try and find out, what makes this seller tick, what's important to them, and try to get a little feel for their personality. And if you can get access to their Facebook page, if they don't have private restrictions, that's a great way to see their photos, see what they write about, see what's important to them, to help start from that place of building a relationship, not rapport, right? And LinkedIn, of course, to know their professional background and what they do, how long they've been in the company. All this information, I believe, is very important to have prior to the appointment. What are you guys doing differently to learn about the seller prior to that meeting? To help you prepare for that appointment. Googling the name. Might have a company website or something like that with information on it. What else?
Instagram, Twitter.
What's that?
Instagram.
And Twitter. Snapchat. Anything else outside of social media? In the back.
And tell us from your agent. You can go, you have to pay, you can go and tell us.
And tell us.
And it gives you a profile, and phone numbers, etc.
Okay, so paying a premium plan on Tellus to get more information on the sellers. Is there a hand here?
Oh, sometimes, I mean, if it's a referral, you can just ask them and say, oh, well, yeah, they're getting divorced. Like, if it's a personal.
That's a great point. So if this person is a referral, the person who sent them to you probably knows a lot about them. So ask that person for more information about them and their situation.
Go door knock their neighborhood, 4 or 5 houses around on their street, and ask about them.
Door knock the neighborhood. That is very interesting. That one might backfire, Marty. I don't know. Marty came to the house. He was asking about you. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. All right. So we do our homework, right? And then we also have to know just general parameters about this type of person, right? So knowing roughly their age, when they were born, gives us some idea of how they may be, right? So we have statistics which show us they fall into certain categories, how they may respond and react to certain situations, okay? You all have heard of DISC, different personality types. So this, I think, falls into that. So if they're seniors, if they're older and fall into the silent generation, they're probably very loyal. They usually have equity in their properties. They will require patience, and they like processes. They like procedures. They like systems. And so I'll share with you a story with a couple that I helped sell their property 4 years ago. And this was a super cool transaction because these folks I actually met when I was 11 years old, and I had a snow shoveling business. And I shoveled their snow, and I hadn't seen them in years. And I actually sold a neighbor's property, who was a friend of mine's parents, and they told the neighbors, the Adasis, who were in their late 70s, that, hey, Koki helped sell the house, he's a great guy, whatever, you should talk to him. And so they call me. I go through my questions with them, go meet with them. Yeah, we remember when you shoveled our snow, back in whatever it was, 92, whatever, 93. And what was nice is, for me, I knew that it was going to take a lot of patience with them, right? It wasn't going to be a very fast process. And so, it took us about 4 months to get the property prepared to go on the market. And typically, when we help our clients prepare the homes to go on the market, which I'll show you in a second, it takes us, 2 days to like a week. It's like really quick. We have a system in place. We got all the vendors lined up. It's usually pretty quick. And so I knew going in that I had to be patient with them, and that they wanted me to walk them through the process, explain things to them, not be rushed, not be hurried. They weren't going to sign anything on that first appointment, but I knew that they were going to be loyal. And if they said, hey, you're our guy, I was their guy, and that would not change. But if I hadn't known that, I might have gotten frustrated. They were taking so long, and tried to hurry them, and that would have made them uncomfortable. And then they probably would have not worked with me, right? So it's important to know, who you're working with, so that you can give them what they need to be successful in that transaction. So next we have the boomers. Any boomers in here? Got a few boomers. So how accurate is this, boomers? You guys like custom marketing prepared just for you. Is that true? See a couple head nods. Is that true? You guys are high maintenance, constant attention. Is that true? Time is precious. Limited loyalty. Limited loyalty, right? And last one on there is income rich, cash poor. So here again, I'll share a story with you. I helped Mr. Brooks sell his property in DC earlier this year. And I knew that he was a boomer. And this guy was super intense, right? And I did everything that I knew I thought that he would want. And it was custom, for him. And he was very, very high maintenance. Called at all times of day, texted me all the time, wanted responses, within minutes. And even though I tried to, prepare him and manage his expectations up front, that hey, I got a family and stuff, and it's past like 9 o'clock, and I'm not gonna respond to you. And he would get very frustrated, in that process. And limited loyalty. Limited loyalty, right? So we had a 2-month listing agreement because in the market we're selling stuff in like 14 days, 15 days, pretty quick. And we had it sold. We had a ton of showings. All the feedback was like, this great house, but need some work, price a little high. And we're getting toward the end of that time frame, and he's already interviewing other agents. Right? We had about 45 showings in the first 30 days, and I'm like, trying to go through all the feedback with him. And he's like, no, they're lying, this and that, whatever. So I knew, how he was, and I knew that he just needed more attention. And so we get to the end of the agreement. I sat down. I said, hey, look, I understand that you're frustrated. Your house hasn't sold yet. We've had all these showings. Here's the feedback. Will you give us an extra 30 days to help you sell your home? He agreed. We had a $100,000 price reduction on the property. Then had multiple offers, of course, and sold the home. But again, it's important to know who you're working with, because had I not known that he was a boomer and would respond the way that he did, I could have been very frustrated. I may have responded unprofessionally to him, which would have resulted in me not selling the property. Okay, so it's important to know who you're working with.
How did you convince you of the $100,000 reduction?
So what was interesting is I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for the price reduction. We just kept feeding him the information that we were receiving from the feedback from the showings, and showing him the comps, what is sold in the last 30 days, that we've been on the market, what's gone pending. And then he came to us and said, hey, look, we need to go down $100,000. And I was like, cool, do it. He's back.
So why even take the listing to begin with if he's not going to come down by $100,000?
So the question is why we take the listing up front if it was overpriced, and we knew going in that the price was high. And he actually was a very, very motivated seller. So he had a cane and had a very, very hard time walking around. He has a huge 3-story colonial in DC, and he had to get out of that property. He's sitting on equity. I think he owed like $50K. We sold it for six and change, and he needed to get out to go to a senior home. And so we knew that he was motivated to sell the property. And as long as we could hang in there with him and be patient, eventually it would sell. Okay? So next we have the Gen X. How many Gen X folks we have in the room? About 20 or so. All right. I'm still not there yet. Not Gen X. They expect technology. They want people who are savvy professionals. They want to be your partner, right? They want to be your business partner. Email and texting is preferred. Very high expectations. Okay? So these Gen X folks want to be your partner. I mentioned earlier that they want to help write the marketing pieces, right? So we recently sold 2 condos in DC to the Wong brothers. They owned condos outside of each other in the Floridian and Rhapsody, same street, and they were selling at the same time. And they both were Gen X. And they both wanted to write marketing material for the ad, for the MLS. I said, well, look, I limit to 400 characters. That's all we got. And also for the brochure. And 4 or 5 years ago, I would have been kind of annoyed and frustrated that they wanted to take it on. But knowing that that's what they need to feel comfortable in the transaction, we were like, cool. So they wrote all the information. They ordered the photos, in the MLS. So, well, we don't want this one first. And I said, fine, whatever you want, put it in there. And but knowing that they wanted to be our partner and to feel that they were somewhat in control, we had no problem. As long as what they were doing was legal and ethical, that was fine with us. But again, you have to know who it is that's your client, who it is that you're working with.
Hey, Koki.
Question.
Leslie McDonald in Chicago, she sends all of her flyer text and her descriptions to her clients to edit and revise for her. How do you feel about that?
So her point is that the agent in Chicago sends all of her texts to the clients ahead of time to edit or to approve. And I think it's fine, because the last thing you want is for them to see it live in the MLS and they're like, oh, why did you put this picture here, or why did you say this, and then they're uncomfortable and upset that you have it that way. So I think it's fine to get their commitment, get their buy-in on what it is that you're presenting out to the public.
I do it more for review, for accuracy, and is there anything we left out that you, not so much.
Yes. So you use it to make sure that everything that should be there is there, and then that's accurate. We have our Gen Y folks. So I fall into this category here. How many Gen Y do we have in the room? Okay, decent amount. All right, so they want e-transactions, search to close. They want speed, gotta be fast. They want to be an involved partner as well. And crossing a threshold may not be necessary to complete a transaction. And I'll tell you that myself personally, I think this is like totally spot on. So speed is so important. Like when I'm looking to buy a property or to sell one of my investing properties, I mean it's got to be done like yesterday. I contact my stager, and she's like, hey, Koki, when wants to go up to the property? I'm like, can you get out there in the next 10 minutes? And knowing that that's a bit unrealistic, and then she'll say, well, we can't do it. We can do it like tomorrow or the next day. But I want it done as soon as possible. And that's just how I'm wired. When I buy investment properties, I don't have to see them. As long as I've had a partner on the team go through the contractor and see some photos, like I'm cool to make a decision. And that's just how I'm wired. That's how I operate. But it's important to know, again, who you're working with and what makes them tick before that appointment. Okay, any questions before we proceed?
What do you mean by crossing the threshold may not be necessary?
Like going into the house.
Oh.
But, we had a client, we've had several clients, I'm not sure how it is here in Atlanta, but we have a lot of clients in D.C. who don't live in D.C., who live overseas or in California or Texas, wherever it is, and they're not even here for the process. So everything's done via email, via texting. It's kind of weird to me because I've had clients who you don't even talk to. It's just all like email, text, and that's just what they want. And you gotta give them what they want. All right, so you guys want your last break real quick?
Yes.
All right, we'll take 10 minutes, and then we good more?
Yeah, we're good.
Yep, 10 minutes, and we'll be back to it. And then we're gonna roll. We're gonna roll this last hour.
Yeah, oh yeah. It has more churches and bars per capita than any town. Hey, how you doing? Good, good.
I'll actually be on the
Again? Next week, I know, I've been there. Yeah. I just booked another one coming from NAR on Monday. Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready to join from Stanford. San Diego. Oh, very nice. I only see her once a month, maybe, once they get canceled. Yeah, tell her to time out. Great. Yeah, good to see you. And then on the way, they brought my brothers and you were all right there with my grandma.
My brother and my sister so he's like greens And I wish it was more, well, I want to say you can go ahead while I'm waiting.
All right, you guys ready? Last hour? All right, you guys ready to go back to this? We have just over an hour together, and we're only on step 2. We got 5 steps, so we got to pick it up. All right, we're going to talk about handling objections. Okay. So again, we've created these leads, qualified the seller, prepared for the appointment. We're now here in the property, right? And I'll tell you quickly my process is when I get to the home, the first thing I want to do is take a tour of the property with the seller, okay? And I take notes on the property, I take notes on things that I think should possibly be improved in the property, and things that, upgrades, things that are selling points for a marketing piece. I put all that in my notes, and I take a ton of notes. And then after that, we then go to sit down at the table, and the first thing we do is go over the questions that we qualified them for initially. So we're reconfirming that information with them. Okay, and after that, we're going through comps. And one thing I learned early on is to never give a price, because you will lose listings on price. You want to try and give a range, and make sure that they know that they control the list price. You as a seller, your investment, your property, you control list price. What the buyer's willing to pay, what you're willing to accept, what your home will sell for. My job is to give you information, help you make a good decision on that list price. You're going to get tons of objections, right? From commission to price, length of the agreement, to showing procedure. We only want showings on Monday and Friday from 12 to 2. I'm like, do you want to sell your home? So these are things that you'll get, and they'll only sell if they can buy another property. Right now in the market, I told you we're at 1.7 months of inventory. So inventory is tight, and people looking to sell their homes don't have the options that they want to buy the property. So how can we help them in that process so that they're not without a home, or they don't own 2 homes at the same time? All right, so I want to spend a few minutes here just talking about objections, because we all get them. Some of us handle them better than others, make us a little uncomfortable. But how are we handling objections with the seller when they ask them? And so I just want to walk through right now. What objections are you guys hearing from sellers?
6%.
What's that?
6% commission.
A certain percentage on commission. All right, so you guys are getting commission objections, right? When I walk you through the next steps here, I can assure you that very rarely does the seller bring up commission, because we show them the value that we're going to add to their process, and then it's a no-brainer to pay X% plus 1. Okay? Question?
Right now in our market, sellers are able to, through discount brokerages, get into MLS where they haven't been able to in past years. So now I can get an MLS, and I'm having to come back and explain to them that we're doing more than putting it into MLS. But the for sale by owners have MLS access now.
Yep. So her point, her objection that she's getting is, hey, you're a seller, you showed your value to them, what you're going to do to help them sell the property, and they're more interested in working with the discount brokerage. They're paying a flat fee, $500, whatever it might be, to go in MLS, and they handle all the negotiations themselves. Or it's a company that offers a little more service, but charges only, say, 1 or 2 percent to the seller. And to me, like you said, this way to handle it is to show them the value that you add to that transaction. Because we're not all equal. We don't all have the same services. And if they want to work with someone who offers less services to pay less, then that's their prerogative, right? And we can't always compete with that. Okay, and that might not be the best client for you to work with. But the key is to be prepared, have all your stuff together, have a great package, so that there should be no discussion. And if there is, and if they want someone who's going to charge them less, then hey, let them go. Is there a hand here? What other objections are we hearing?
So one of my big things is what you're going to talk about in your next slide, which is condition of the house and getting it ready, and then paying the money to get it ready.
Yep. So he's talking about condition of the property, and condition is very important. I mean, it's condition and price, in my opinion, are the 2 things that will sell your home. Not all the marketing that we're going to do for the property, because if it's not priced well, not the right condition, all the marketing in the world will not sell your property. All right? We'll talk about that further in a second. What other objections are you guys hearing? No objections?
I'm a new agent, so that's Kimmy and I'm checking.
Yep, so she's a new agent. And she meet with the seller and they're like, oh, how long you been in the business, right?
Yeah.
Well, through my experience, because I was a new agent at one time, and the mentor told me that, you know, if you come prepared to the appointment and you're confident and present well because you practice and rehearse your presentation, they will not ask you how long you've been in the business. I guarantee you. They just won't ask you. And when they do ask you, be honest. Well, that's a great question. I've been in business now for 6 months, and I have a great team that I'm working on. I have a mentor in the office. My broker's been there for 25 years of experience, and he knows everything about selling a home, and I'm working in concert with him to sell your property. You know, so it's not just me on my own as a new agent selling your home. And I can assure you that, you know, I don't have 25 listings in the marketplace, so I'll spend all my time focusing on you to help you get your home sold. Just saying.
To a local agent, like just a local agent, I got a referral from someone in Florida for a Southwest Atlanta property, and he asked me where's my office located. I said Pete Runs. We said you're not local. I said, well, I handle the Cab and Fulton equally. He said, well, he was a baby boomer, and he said, well, back when I bought my last property, the person lived here and everybody knew him.
Yep.
And I was kind of confused because I was like, so why am I here?
Right. Right. So her objection is, you know, the seller says, well, where's your office located? Your office is located in another part of town. I don't feel like you're the best person to sell the property. I'd rather work with the neighborhood expert, someone who lives here, knows the community, sells the majority of the listings. How do you compete with that, right? And I can tell you that office location doesn't matter. And so in these comps here that are presented to you, the last 12 homes that have sold, here are the office locations of all the listing brokers, right? Right? And so the office location, one, doesn't matter. And then the neighborhood expert, you know, let's actually look at this neighborhood expert. Because a lot of times when you look at comps, the neighborhood expert does an awesome job of marketing themselves in that community. But they may not truly be the neighborhood expert. They might not have all the sales in that neighborhood. And, you know, of the last 12 sales, they've sold 3 properties. So homes are still selling in this neighborhood without going through this expert. And they may have a little more knowledge here, you know, than I do, but I can assure you that, you know, having knowledge about all these different communities is going to help me sell your property. And the buyer coming to your property probably doesn't already live here, and I'm familiar with all these other neighborhoods and other agents in the different areas. I'm going to market to all these people there and help you sell your home. And that's okay. That's okay. And if you ever lose a listing, always follow up. Always follow up. Mr. Seller, thank you for having me out to your property. You know, it's unfortunate we're not working together. But if you could please share with me, is there anything that I could have done differently to win your business? And you know, it's good to know the information, one, but two, if they don't sell the property, they may call you back after that failed listing. Any other objections? No other objections? All right, we're gonna roll with this. All right, preparing the home. So this is where our listing business has just taken off. We've been able to increase our bottom line significantly by assisting sellers with preparing the home to go on the market. So I have what I call a SWAT team, Swift Working Action Team. I just heard that one night. Yeah, cool. So we help our sellers get their homes ready to go on the market. If you've sold your property before, how many here have sold their own personal residence or personal investment property? Right? To me, that was probably the best part of being in real estate, was going through that process and understanding why people are so stressed selling their homes, right? And why they sit in their car watching the person go into their property and then drive around back, right? They do that, right? I promise you I did that. I sold my condo in DC, and I was in the back of the property in my car watching them walk through the property, and I'm sitting there like, why am I doing this? But this is what sellers do, right? And so knowing that and being able to have that empathy will then help you help the seller. And so being that it's stressful, we want to help reduce your stress. And so we want to do as much as possible for you before going on the market. So here's a house that we have that's closing on Monday, actually. And left is the before picture, and right is the after picture. And the seller, didn't want to have to do all the landscaping work and get the house ready. So we helped the seller do that. And we have a landscaper that we worked with for the last 3 years who landscapes all of our listings. And guess what? The seller doesn't pay for that. We pay for that. Okay? So we have I think the best rates possible with this guy because we work with him on all of our listings. And so it costs us on average about $250 to have him do landscaping for our listings. Right? And we cover that. Next we have our
reimbursed?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Next we have our cleaning crew. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if you're showing property, it doesn't feel great when you walk in a house that's dirty and doesn't smell nice, right? Even if it has all the upgrades in the world and it's a good property, when it's dirty, it just kind of takes away from that showing and from that opportunity to showcase the home to a client. And so we have a cleaning crew that cleans all our listings prior to going to the market, and then we sit for a while, which doesn't happen often, but when we do, they go back every 30 days to clean the property again. Okay? And here we spend on average about $130 to have the property cleaned.
Each time or one time?
Each time. Each time. And then here we have staging. How many of you guys stage your listings? And do you guys hire a company or do you handle it yourself? You do it yourself? Okay. Depends on the property? Okay. So I would never stage a property myself. We have a company that we use, Parker Interiors, who stages all of our listings, right? And we pay for the staging, okay? Average price for the staging is about $1,400. And lasts for 45 days. We're typically selling stuff really quickly, so it's usually in there.
Does that include bringing in the furniture?
Yes. That includes the rental, includes computation.
For occupied homes, you do that?
For occupied and vacant
So do
properties,
you
we
pay
stage.
for, what do they do with all their furniture?
So typically, if it's occupied, the clients will put some stuff in storage. We don't pay for storage; they handle that on their own. But we do help them with the moving of it. So our staging crew has a moving truck and moving crew who help them move their stuff to storage, and they pay for the storage. So this here is a picture of an expired listing that we picked up. The top 2 photos are when it was with the other agent. The bottom 2 photos are the exact same rooms in the house. Once we've staged the property, had some paint touch-up work done, and had much higher quality photos. So a big difference, right? A huge difference. Looks like the person used their phone for those top photos there. For a condo in Georgetown, which sold for $400,000 for a little 1-bedroom. Preparing the home, so landscaping I mentioned earlier. And then I think we have a great photographer who takes awesome photos. And you guys are like, I heard some of you gasp when I mentioned that we pay for this. And so we, on the commission, we charge 1% higher than most agents charge, right? And I'm okay with that, but on all these properties that we're selling, we typically make more money by doing this because we have a certain cost to prepare the home for the market. It's an incredible convenience for the seller, and we're able to earn more than our competition. So we're not debating or discussing commission with the seller because we're offering so many services ahead of time, and we're like, wow, it's a no-brainer to pay this additional amount of commission, right? And it's a risk that we take because if we don't sell the house, then we don't get paid. But we're also not going to take a listing if the person won't comply with the program we have in place until they get the property sold. Okay? So thinking outside the box, what can you do differently to earn more money on selling a home?
But the question is, when you pay for the staging, do you have a certain limit? I mean, what if it's a $250,000 house?
Yes. So with the company that we use, we have just reduced rates on the staging. So typically, for a row house in the East Street corridor, which is our main farm area, if we use a main staging company for a vacant house, it would cost between $3,000 and $4,000. With our staging company, we pay $1,500 for those properties.
No, but I mean on the listing, what if it's an inexpensive listing?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Question.
What about the condition of the house, like painting, upgrading, and things like that?
Yeah. So in the event that we have handyman work like painting, changing out fixtures, light fixtures or faucets, stuff like that, the seller does pay for that. And we have a couple of different handymen that we use who can assist with that work. So we'll still help coordinate all the work, make it easy for them so they don't have to handle it, but they will pay for that.
So, I mean, this is great stuff, and it's a, you know, way to, it's a marketing dollar in a way, right?
Right.
So, when you go into your listings, and they don't want to pay you 7%, right?
Yep.
Then you just pull this out and charge them 6.
And then you're above average, right? So I wouldn't mention numbers, but so basically his question is, we offer all these services to a seller, we're charging a higher commission, right? The seller says, oh, you know what, I'd rather not have any of that extra stuff. And then we're at the commission which the market is getting, or it's really higher than average. Our average is about 5.6 for the marketplace. And so we're always above average. And when we employed this a few years ago, we saw year over year how our bottom line increased significantly, where our volume had only went up about 10% or so.
I'm sure you
Follow up?
noticed that your homes were selling a lot faster because you did that.
Absolutely. It goes back to competition. Our homes, in my opinion, show better than most of the homes in the marketplace.
But will you still take a listing if they say that they won't do it?
It depends. I mean, if they're gonna price it right, and it's not in terrible shape, we will still take a listing. Yeah.
We have one quick follow-up on that?
Yes.
So I'm a big proponent of this. I pay for some staging and stuff and other stuff. I love this idea of the 1% and just build it into the deal, because I do believe if you condition a home, it's going to sell for more money and sell faster, which makes my job easier, less time invested in it. I do something where I offer the services with my quote-unquote SWAT team, and then if they're willing to spend the money, let's say it's $3,000, I will give them a discount on the commission. They lay out the $3,000, for example, and then I take. Did you ever try anything? Did you arrive at 7%?
So I haven't tried that, but I think it's a great idea. So his point was, instead of him, paying the money for these services, still offer the seller to pay for it, and then at settlement, give them a discount for what they had to spend on the property initially. Correct?
Right.
Right.
So I'm making 6% less $1,500, but in turn, the client's buying into $3,000. Guess what? He's not going to fire me now.
Right.
All right.
Yep. That's a great point.
He's more committed to me, and at the end of the day, I've got what I achieved, which is sure I make $1,500 less, but I have a property that's easier to sell.
Right. So getting the client's buy-in, is his strategy, which I think is a brilliant idea. All right. So a couple things here. Do you guys currently have coming soon in your MLS? You don't. Okay. All right. So I'll just kind of skip over that. That's new to the DC market as of this year. And Top Agent Network, do you guys have that? Okay, so as an agent, I would consider creating a networking group, whether it's via Facebook or any other social media outlet, where you can communicate with other agents and help each other promote your properties before you go on the market. And in DC, we do it to create a buzz, right? And the way our MLS states that we cannot show a property prior to going on MLS. We can certainly market it with seller's commission to create a buzz for that property. So once you go on the marketplace, people already are aware of it, they've already had the heads up on this listing, and it helps us sell homes faster. So check with your broker, that's possible to do, but it's something that I would consider.
The coming soon option is being discussed with our MLSs right now.
Okay.
With first multiple, we have 2, so with first multiple, it's being discussed as a new option.
Got it. Yeah, that option, it allows us to market a property for up to 21 days prior to going on MLS, prior to going live to the MLS. So your days of market are not counting. It's only available to agents, so they can send it to their clients, but it's not on Zillow, it's not on Truly or Realtor.com. And just give us a way to market properties a little ahead of time while stuff's getting done in the house and we're still preparing it. So we've done all this great work, marketed the property, now got contracts. And how are we helping the seller review offers? And so a lot of times in our market, we're getting multiple offers, and it's important for us to create a spreadsheet, right? Versus giving the seller, 8 different packets of 45 pages of a contract. So we go through and try to pull out all the important key terms and help them make a decision. Also part of the process, I mentioned earlier about some lenders who, give pre-approval letters, and the buyer hasn't been qualified yet, haven't pulled their credit. They just had a conversation with them on the phone. So we as agents must take the time to make those phone calls and ask those questions to lenders ahead of time so that we can help advise our sellers. Now we have had a transaction where a buyer was pre-approved, and 2 weeks later, the loan is denied, right? It's happened to all of us. So it's important for us to take the time to help our seller make the best decision possible. Net sheets. We all should have a net sheet that we have, in our laptop, or I have a spreadsheet here that's in Excel. Just pop in the numbers, of our offer and how much the seller owes on their mortgage, commission, everything, and it just computes for us. And it's important to give this information to a seller because they've got to know what they're facing in the sale of their property. Offer terms. The sellers always think price, right? Always, number one thing they think is price. And we all know that there's other terms in the contract that are also very important as prices. And so we have to go through that with them and help them decide what they want to agree to or what they want to counter in that offer. And in our market, we have a lot of buyers who use a general inspection contingency, which allows you to inspect the home, then you can avoid the contract or move forward. But you can't ask for any repairs, you can't negotiate any credits with the seller. And so, to many sellers, that's very attractive because they don't have to make repairs in their home. So we have to know kind of the ins and outs of the contract to help properly advise them on which offer to take. So systems. I mentioned systems earlier. So once we're under contract, here's everything that we do. Contract close. And Sarah, who's our coordinator, helps manage all this with the seller. And it makes her job easy. It makes the seller's life easy as well because we have a process in place of how we're going to help you get to closing. All right? And the first thing we do is send out an email to them. It's a congratulations email. A copy of the contract is attached to it, along with all the important deadlines in the contract. So anytime they have a question, they can refer back to this email and not have to call us and ask, hey, when is the contract ratified? When is the contingency over? Right? So this is important for us to prepare. It helps us too. If I ever have a question on the run, I can go to the email real quick and see the information right there. For us to help the seller move forward in the transaction. And we also use Salesforce. We use Property Base, which has all of our deals in there, all the timelines in there. So everything is very systematic, very organized. There's never any drop balls because we have checkboxes to go through throughout the transaction.
Can you go back one?
And again, this information, you send me an email, I'll forward this to you, so you can have all of it, in your email. You good?
Yes.
And then prior to closing, we send out another email to them with details of settlement. So where it is, what time, a reminder on the utilities, things you have to do prior to closing. Again, you want to make it as easy as possible for the sellers. We don't want them to ever have questions in the transaction. All the information is presented to them ahead of time so that they're prepared and well informed to move forward. All right. So step 4 was quick, huh? We got about a half hour left. So step 5 is a very critical part of the process because you've done so much work the last couple hours to get this person to closing, and you've been successful in that process. And now what? How are we gonna help build on the momentum, build on that relationship to help build your business in the future? Right? So we're gonna walk through a couple things that we currently do. So we have an outreach. So 1 week, 1 month, 6 months, a year, and then annually. And I can assure you that most of our clients, there's lots of contacts in between that. But this is our typical schedule. And we use the forward approach, right? So in any contact with them, we're focusing on their family, on their occupation, their recreation, things they enjoy doing, and their dreams and their goals. And so we're making these phone calls to them or emails to them. Those are questions that we're asking about, right? Because if you focus on them, what's important to them, that's what you want to talk about, right? If you want to hear someone talk, then ask the question about themselves, and they will talk forever, right? And I'm sure y'all have heard the book, but I'll recommend it now. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. Fantastic book. Fantastic book that I would highly recommend. It's a great way, or a great read on how to build relationships, how to make people feel important, how to handle confrontation, how to handle tough clients. We have to get on their level, all right? So this is what we do to stay in contact with folks. And so week after closing, just checking in to see how things are going, confirm that they got their proceeds, we try to know they got it, but we still ask that question. A month later, if they're in a new property that we help them buy, just checking in, how's the new home going? Anything that we can assist with, how's your son doing? Is soccer still going well for him? Focusing on them, focusing on their family. All right, and then for our year, and then for the annual, we send them a card, and my favorite card is at the end is the birthday card that we send out, which I think is one of the best cards I've ever seen in my life. Question, Marty?
A great touch is here in Georgia, most counties, I think you have to file for your homestead exemption January 1st. So that's a good reason to every January to
absolutely. So yeah,
the first January to get that.
Every January we send the HUD ones, which now the closing disclosure, to all our clients from that past year. They need the information for their taxes, right? We send it out to them, and they're all very appreciative of it. And it's an easy, soft touch. We're not asking for business. We're not asking for referrals. We're trying to help them as they prepare for their taxes that year. Now, as far as follow-up is concerned, anything else you guys are doing differently for follow-up with clients after the transaction has actually closed?
I sing to them on that happy birthday.
She sings to them on their birthday.
Hopefully they didn't have much.
She sings to them on their birthday. So I think it's brilliant. I'm going to show you a video in a second of me singing to their clients. Does anyone else here sing to their clients on their birthday? Just me and you. Me and you. What else are you all doing to follow up your clients after a transaction?
I connect with them on social media.
Connecting on social media, using Facebook and other outlets to connect with them. What else?
Well, just gonna, you need to talk about, because I know that discipline. Are you asking for referrals? And by the way, are you getting into that or not?
Yeah, so throughout the transaction, we've taught our clients how to send us referrals. And so after the transaction, we rarely ever ask for referrals. And I can tell you that we get a ton of referrals from our past clients.
And you ask them, you explain to them, you want to share that, how you do that?
Yes, so to me, the key with teaching folks how to give you referrals is that we all know if someone says, hey, I know a great realtor here in Atlanta, you should give her a call, here's her number. They may not follow up, right? We as salespeople are trained to follow up, right? And so what I tell them is, what we found is when you're selling your property, it's like a really exciting and stressful process. So when you're at work or with your friends and family, you're going to talk about that process. And a lot of times, you'll find someone who's looking to buy or sell a property as well. When that happens, I would love it if you would ask them, for my permission to give them a call, and then I'll follow up with them. So please give me their information. And that's how we teach them to refer to us versus giving out our information. Because a lot of times you guys have the calls where it's like, hey, I told Sam about you. Did he call you? No, Sam didn't call. So it's important to teach them to get the information, give it to you, ask for permission, so that when we reach out to them, they're expecting that call. I see a hand in the back.
I was just going to say, I do send a handwritten note when someone has given me a referral, just thanking them and maybe even send them a little something.
Yeah, so her point is, once she receives a referral, to have an immediate follow-up with the person who sent the referral. So sending a handwritten note, we do $5 Starbucks cards to everybody who sends us a referral. And what I've learned there is that it's important to respond to that action, right? So don't wait until you actually close the deal. We know sometimes that it doesn't pan out, but we want to reinforce that behavior of sending the referral, right? And so you send out a card or a note, whatever it is, whenever you receive a referral from somebody. All right, so here I have a few more recent events that we've done. The top left was in May. It was on May 9th, it was Saturday this year. We had 85 clients show up for a Nationals game. And people love bringing their kids out to events, as I mentioned earlier. And after that that event, we had a client someone who was close to us and hadn't sent any referrals yet to us, who then referred us their best friend who was looking to sell and buy a property. So the event was on a Saturday. On Monday, I was at a home inspection. I got a call, and it's their friend. So, hi, my name is Leslie. Jim and Sarah told us to give me a call. We ended up selling 2 of their homes in DC. Both of them were, one was $530, the other one was $575, and then they bought a property in DC for $1.1 million. So over a $2 million transaction that just popped up after we connected with somebody at an event. We didn't talk about real estate. We didn't mention anything about business, and as a result, we then got leads from that event. So you may not do a baseball game, but you can do something small and creative where you can capture a few of your past clients in a fun atmosphere to connect with them on a deeper level. On the bottom left there, that was a pretty big charity basketball tournament last year in DC at the Verizon Center, the Washington Wizards play, and there was 20 corporate teams in DC. So like pretty big time companies like TEPCO, who's our major electric outlet there, the advisory board company, and then Koki and Associates, right? So it's like a small little real estate company. And it's pretty expensive to get into the event, but I made sure to have a pretty good basketball team. And so in the picture there, you got guys who played at Georgetown, played at Indiana, played at Cal. So we had a pretty good team, and it was extremely competitive. Very, very competitive. A lot of guys played professional or Division I basketball, and we were fortunate to win the event. Long story short of that story is that the guy who ran the event, who was the CEO of the corporate executive board in Northern Virginia, has sent us 2 referrals since that time. And those have both been $1 million transactions. Our team's average sales price is about $487. So it's great to put yourself in places where you're doing what you love doing, and you're getting results from that. In the middle there, I think our favorite item that we give away are baby onesies. On the top it says "Got a crib," the same font as "Got milk," and on the bottom has our logo. So all our clients who have babies, we give them a onesie, and they're all over Facebook. And I think it's the cutest thing, for people to have their babies in our onesies. And then bottom right is at a basketball game again. I'm there with 2 agents, James Nellis, who's with Keller Williams in Virginia, networking with agents. Again, we can help each other build our businesses, and so we need to try to find opportunities to do that.
So do you find by adding more of your personal life to, like connecting your professional and personal life kind of builds a better rapport with your clients?
Yeah, so her question is, do I find that using connecting my personal life with clients, that it helps to build a business? And I think absolutely. I mean, you got to do what you're comfortable with. But for me, it's much more than just real estate. And so a lot of my clients are truly friends. We've had them over to our house, we've done events at our house, and not everyone gets that invitation, of course. But we have certain people who we're fortunate enough to work with who are really tied into our network. So I'll hand over here.
Somebody asked earlier about ways to do events like this with, being new in the business and the cost factor. This Sunday, I'm co-hosting a fall festival with several of the agents in my office. And to participate per agent, it's only $125. And then we buy pumpkins, so there's some more cost, $6 a pumpkin. But we hold it in historic Roswell at Bullock Hall. And we have a bunch of our vendors, like our pest control companies coming in and cooking all the barbecue, another company, a moving company is donating all the water. And then we use all the funds that we collect to hire a magician, do face painting, buy a bouncy machine, cotton candy, we play games, we hire a DJ, and it's this big. This is, I think, our 9th year that we've done this. And it used to be like 10 of us agents that went in and did it, and now there's up to 25 that are participating. We had to hire a shuttle
Wow.
to get the cars in and out, you know, to bring the people because it's gotten so big. But you can't have a dinner, you can't have 4 people for dinner for less than $125.
Right.
You know, so it's
Especially not
really,
in
it's an
DC.
awesome annual event, huh?
I said, especially not in
Not in the
DC.
DC, right, so.
So you all invite your past clients to this event, or is this
Oh,
a
yeah,
community event?
you
or-
can invite anybody.
Okay.
You can invite anybody.
And how big is the turnout?
It's huge. And we have a professional photographer there, so you can come and have your family photos taken for your holiday cards. I mean, it's an annual event with people. We have a caricature guy that draws the kids' faces with the little bodies. And I have clients that have, like, their kids have like 7 of those in their bedrooms framed.
Right.
And then they get to middle school, they don't want to touch them.
Right. So her point is, you know, if you want to do an event, you may not have the budget to do a large event. To team with other agents in your office, or team with other vendors, for the event, your lender or title company or inspector, and we try to incorporate them in all of our events. So a lot of times, if we're doing any kind of raffle or something like that, they would be co-sponsoring the event, and we make sure to market them as well. And they also invite their network to our events, and it just kind of helps build on it. It's folks who most of our clients have actually worked with, so they already have relationships with them.
Hey, Koki. Other than your birthday singing and your home anniversary cards, how long is your post-closing plan? Like Shay does hers for, she has a solid 2 years after a consistent follow-up and staying in touch with items of value. What are you doing for that?
Yes. So her question is, how long do we follow up with the clients after closing? So I've shown you the 1-year plan for follow-up, and then after that, our goal is to have at least 2 phone conversations with our clients each year, and then we do a lot of events, and so we typically see them at different events. And it's really easy lead generation and prospecting for us because we'll send out the e-bite for the event we're having tomorrow. We send out to 400-something people, and we got say 80 RCPs right away. Several folks who haven't viewed the invitation yet, and those are folks that we're going to be calling and reaching out to. Hey, Jim, it's Koki, how are you doing? Just checking in, make sure that you got the invitation for a party that we're having on the 17th. And it's a very, very easy, soft touch to reach out to them. Again, it's not real estate related, we're not asking for anything. We just want you to come and have fun with us. The goal is after that first year to have at least two phone conversations and hopefully see them in person when they come to our events. Okay. Question?
Hi. Someone asked a question earlier in regards to the team and the breakup of the commission split, things of that nature.
Yes.
Can you touch on that?
Yes. So the question is regarding the makeup of our team and commission splits. So for our team, we have 2 agents on our team, CJ and Melissa. We're both rock stars, and Sarah's a full-time assistant, transaction coordinator, and then my wife runs operations for the team. And so we have it set up where our assistant makes $40,000 a year plus bonus, and she gets bonus on transactions that she brings in. She's licensed, so she can handle everything that I can handle when I'm not around, which is very helpful. And then for our agents, for new agents, for anything that we refer to the agent, it's a 50-50 split. And then for them, it's a 50-50 start for stuff that they procure on their own. And as they sell more, they then increase their commission. It caps out at 70%. And I can tell you for our team, we provide a lot of value for the agents on our team. And CJ's been doing this now for 4 years. Melissa's new; she's been doing this for about 5 months. But she's been awesome. And her first open house in our farm, she picked up a client who turned into a $2.2 million client with the sale of their property and purchase of a new home. So it's important to have people that you can trust and who can support you, because you can't do it all. Right now I'm here teaching, leading this class, and they're there working. We had a closing today, and they're attending my place. So it's nice to have people that you can trust who can support your business.
So I know you got your forms where you're doing your postcards there, and I know you mentioned like 450, 480 in your database that you're doing your events for, so you have 4 people. Are you hitting that with a postcard a couple times a year as well? Or?
Yeah, so it's one thing that we actually pulled away from that we did a lot in the beginning was to mail to everybody in our sphere of influence. And currently we're not mailing to them. We're not sending them postcards, something that we probably should get back to doing. But right now we're not. Question?
your buyer's agent brings the lead themselves, what's the split?
So it just depends on where they are. So the new agent is right now it's 50-50 split. When she hits 50,000 in GCI, then it goes up to 55 and goes up from there, and it caps out at 70%. So 70% will be the most that an agent would earn on business that they procure on our team. You back?
You said your wife runs operations?
Yes.
She's not salaried?
She is salaried. She is salaried. Yeah. So
you mentioned 40,000 for the other.
correct. Yeah. So he wants to know how much my wife gets paid. So I'll tell you. So we use paychecks, right? And my team is Koki and Associates, and that's within the brokerage of Long and Foster, right? And so commission goes to Koki and Associates, and then myself, Sarah, the assistant, my wife, Jess, you all get paid a salary from Koki and Associates. And so his question was, how much does my wife get paid? And annually she gets paid $800 now. But yeah, so she runs operations. She does everything from our books to all of our team meetings, any hiring and recruiting. You know, she handles that. We're doing a team retreat next month, or actually in December. We're going to Nemacolin, which is a resort in Pennsylvania. 2 nights, and looking forward to that. And just like take care of the team. So she handles all that. And I'll tell you that her salary is based on what our accountant thought would be best for the business. And so it's a very minimal salary. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question. For brand new agents, fresh off the market, do you recommend like private brokers or maybe like a big Keller Williams, something like that? What the support is?
Yes. So her question is for a new agent, what I recommend as far as the brokerage is concerned. And to me, it's all about training and education. So you could be at a very small brokerage with a couple members and have a great mentor that's going to help you build your business. You could be at a big Remax, Keller Williams, or whatever. It depends on the support that you'll get in training. Myself, I started at a very small company to start for the first 6 months part-time. As the guy who helped get into the business. I learned absolutely nothing. I had about 12 clients in a time frame, didn't close one deal. I had no training. I had no idea what I was doing. So I then went to a larger brokerage with better training and built the business. But it just depends on what you can get, from a certain brokerage.
What type of software do you use to produce your listing presentation?
What type of software do I use to produce listing presentation? So I used to use a PowerPoint. It had a nice little slide presentation that I walked through with the sellers. And what I found is that a lot of folks, even if they like technology, they don't really care for it. And so now it's more of a conversation, more of a discussion. I'm here and going over comps with them. That's really the only thing I'm trying to come here is comps, and then an estimated net sheet of what they're going to possibly walk away with at a certain sales price.
What is your email address?
My email address is going to be at the very end, but it's Koki@kokiisathekey.com.
It's on the packet.
Say that again.
It's on the packet. It's on the packet.
We got a few minutes left. You guys have been great the whole day. Don't ruin the net though. Go ahead. Yeah, so his question is, when we get a listing, what listing period do we try to shoot for? And typically, we do a 6-month listing, which is plenty of time for us to sell a property. There are times when a seller really balks at that, we want 3 months or so. In my head, I'm like, it doesn't really matter because we know that the presentation that we're going to do, price that you're choosing, we should be in pretty good shape, and we'll take a 2-month or 3-month agreement. But typically, we do a 6-month listing agreement. CRM is property-based, and that's a Salesforce platform. And I recommend if you're considering Salesforce, it helps to have somebody who knows how to use Salesforce. My wife ran Salesforce for a company for like 8 years, a company in DC, so she's able to configure it to best suit our team. It's not the easiest platform to use, but we use Salesforce and property-based.
So I think overall I'd be mainly doing town Atlanta stuff like inventories and trading flow. And I have several people that want to list and then buy, but it's obviously confusing. I mean, you don't know how to buy, you're not going to list it. I mean, it is what it, I mean, I think I'm fine. Well, more what I was gonna ask you was, when people want to do both, and they haven't necessarily found that house, or even if they have, like, how do you manage this timeline so they're not homeless? Or,
So her question is, dealing in a market where there's very low inventory, how do you handle working with the seller who needs to sell their property before buying the next property? And how do you time that so that they're not without a home and so that they don't own two homes? And I think the first thing starts with just their lender, right? And what they financially can do.
Sure.
And if they can buy without selling the property, then we need to focus on that first prior to selling. If they can't, they have to sell first before buying. That's a little more tricky. And of course, we can do extended closing and a rent back. Doesn't guarantee that we'll find a home within that time frame. What we've done a little differently is find out a neighborhood that they want to live in, and then doing direct mail, right? So saying, hey, we have a seller here on 12th Street Northwest. The home's going to the marketplace, trying to sell very quickly. We're going to buy in the neighborhood. They want to spend up to 1.5, whatever it is. And we typically use the first name too in there, because it personalize it, a little more. And we've had a lot of success like that. A lot of success. What's that? Falling waters, yeah. PA, right? Yeah, okay. That and a Greenbrier, I'm going to check out. Thank you. Back.
Outside of what we've discussed already, do you have any advice or guidance of how new agents can leverage certain things to kind of catapult ourselves with all the learning curve that we have? And my gosh, this is very overwhelming as a new agent.
So the question is, as a new agent, what can you do to kind of catapult your business? And looking back on the lack of success I had in my first year and a half in the business, I think that just really being out there and trying to give value to people, right? And so not trying to sell, but trying to give value. And so you can create a farm without having to send mailers all the time. You can create a farm by going door to door. You can create a farm by being on the HOA board and meeting folks and assisting with the architectural review board and association. You can create a farm by the church you go to, and helping out there and volunteering. There's lots of different ways where you can create a network that you're consistently in front of over and over and over again. And in my opinion, that's the best way to generate business. So like I'm starting a Rotary club in DC, and we don't talk about business, Rotary, right? Community service-based organization. But I can assure you that there's referrals that fly all over the place because you get to meet people and learn what they do. You have the same interests, and you both come from a place of service, and they refer to you. So there's lots of things that you can do that don't cost money, cost your time. It can help you get business.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm a new agent, and what I did was I called people that I know who have businesses that maybe need to use a vendor, and kind of, like, I want to help you with your business, and then maybe they would think or pass my cards out to people in their business, and then it just kind of, I just kept asking if I can help with your business to my friends, and it comes back.
Yeah, so her point is to create relationships with different vendors and see how you can help them in their business, and then law of reciprocity, they're going to help you in return, right?
One of the things, a couple of points that you made is that we're all members of a board. A lot of the boards go and have a chat house with their company in the fall of the year. If you volunteer for that, you meet agents from other companies, and that begins to expand your network. And it's also something for your resume, and you can get excited about handling housing on both sides of the spectrum.
Okay, so getting involved with the board and assisting with Habitat, another way.
How does the conversation go when you're discussing with your clients that they remove their personal item and you state it?
Yeah, so the question is, how's the conversation go when you talk about moving personal items to someone's property, right? They have this great photo or some other piece of furniture that they've had for years. You're asking them to move it to help sell the property, right? How's the conversation go? Well, I'll tell you that I don't have that conversation because I don't handle staging the property. And so we have a professional who's trained to do this, come in your home, to consult with you on what to do to get your property sold. So that way, when they're frustrated, it's not coming from me, it's coming from the person who's trained to do that, right? My job is to market your home, help you sell it, negotiate a contract. So I have my savior handle that. And, I was telling them that, selling your home is going to be a little inconvenient, and our goal is to limit the inconvenience. So besides doing all these things that we're going to do to help you prepare the property to go to the market, by pricing it right, we feel that you can sell your home relatively quickly, and then once you're under contract, then you can relax a little bit and not have to make bed every day.
Do you pay for the stager, or do you have them pay for the stager?
Yes, I pay for the stager.
Right.
Yes. All right. So we're going to have time for Q&A at the end. Pause that real quick. So I almost always wear a suit, right? Always wear a suit. And this one day I'm in the office, I was like, grab something real quick, and it was CJ's birthday. So CJ who's on my team now, is a past client, helped her buy a property in Washington, D.C. on October 15th, 2010, yesterday, right? The 5-year anniversary. Posted on Facebook about it, she was all excited. And this is how we build a relationship, right? It's part of the way we build a relationship over time. So when she decided to change careers, she contacted me. We then met over dinner. She had a list of questions. It was kind of funny. It was like an interview. I mean, she had 20 questions printed out, on why should she consider real estate, why should she join our team, and we went through all that, and it's been an awesome relationship ever since. And this is a video that I sent to her, and she thought it was the best thing in the world. She thought it was hilarious. So I'll play it for you.
Good morning, CJ. It's me, Koki, your real estate agent. I was calling you to wish you a very happy birthday and to sing you a special song. Here it goes. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear CJ. Happy birthday to you. We have a very special day, and please do not share the day with anybody. And I'll see you tonight at the party. All right. Have a good day. Bye.
So, to me, this is really cool because I can't sing, right? I agree with that. I can't sing, but people will never forget this. This guy spent time to send me a video, my birthday, my special day, and people really, really appreciate that, and they won't forget it. So when they have that time to refer somebody, you're top of mind. And then I'll show you guys my favorite birthday card. So last year during our team retreat, we did a series of Minute to Win It games. You guys remember that show, Minute to Win It?
Yeah.
And one of them was put a cookie on your forehead, and you get it down to your mouth within a minute without using your hands. And so we had photos of it, and I was like, you know what, this is kind of cool. We should capture this and put it on a birthday card. And occasionally, I get folks who, for whatever reason, call me Cookie instead of Koki. And so I was like, all right, on the card we'll put Cookie and Associates, wishing you a very happy birthday, right? So we send all of our clients the birthday card, and we send them a crisp $2 bill in the card. And we get more responses from that. People are like, wow, again, took the time to write me, a birthday card, send me a $2 bill, which is amazing. And it's a different way to connect with people, right? It's a little creative, it's a little funny, and for us, it's giving us great results. So my email address is on your paper. It's also up here as well. And we'll spend a few minutes going over questions. But before we do that, I want to thank you all for being here today. It's really been a pleasure to present what I really enjoy doing in the business, to you all today. And I also want to give you guys a quote, which has really kind of fueled not only my business but my life for the last several years. And the quote is, it's a very simple quote. I'm a pretty simple guy, and it really it helps kind of encapsulate everything that you may want to do in your life and succeed in it, right? So you guys ready for the quote? Okay. The quote is, success is a natural consequence of consistently applying the basic fundamentals. Success is a natural consequence of consistently applying the basic fundamentals. Right? So, it takes me back to, growing up playing basketball, and, I was a pretty good player, and I'm still decent today, and, I knew the fundamentals very, very well. Like, strong side drive, like I knew where to place the ball, where to put my foot, the basic moves that consistently will work in any game. And it's the same as real estate. We've gone through some of the basic fundamentals today, stuff that you guys have heard time and time again, and it's simply a matter of you deciding which of those fundamentals you want to use to help build your business. Because when you use them consistently, there's no other option except for success, period. All right, so I'll leave you all with that, and we have, I think, about 5 or 6 minutes for questions.
No, we don't.
Everyone can.
We started after 1.